Guess what I don't want to talk about? Guess what I don't want to talk about? Anything involving knowledge. Anything involving knowledge from anybody. Let me give you a little thought experiment. Imagine going back in time to the, 15th century. And you're talking to someone, you've been transported back into time, and you're not a physician, but you see somebody there and you're saying, I notice you're smoking something. Yes, we smoke this thing called tobacco. Yeah, I noticed that. I notice you're also coughing a lot. Yes. And I know you have shortness of breath. Yes. Well, I'm from the future. And you might want to make sure you don't get cancer. I don't have what? Cancer. Cancer? What are you talking about? Or maybe emphysema. Emphysema. Or COPD. What are you talking about? I'm from the future. I'm from the future. I want to talk to you about what's going on with your lungs. I don't know what you're talking about. That's very good. I like this. And you might have gastrointestinal distress and flatulence. Go ahead, big shot. Want to play follow the leader? Go ahead. Two could play that game. So anyway, so they would look there and they would say to you, I don't know what you're talking about. That's why I don't talk to people about what's going on now, because they don't know what they're talking about. Everybody's got, it's like, the people who know what's going on in the world, you're not going to hear on radio. That's all I'm going to tell you. So I don't bother. Not here. On my own time, Lionel Nation, I got my own thing I talk to. But no matter what you say, all you do is you alienate, because nobody knows what they're doing. I've never seen so many people who were imbued with this false sense of knowledge for reasons I don't know. So sometimes I want to say, well, do you want to talk about this? Sure. Okay. And then you realize, oh my God, they don't know anything. I've been misled again. So I don't bother. And it's, I just give up. When you go into a kindergarten class, you don't talk about integral calculus. You don't talk about Shakespeare. You don't do it. You talk to people. And am I suggesting that America is filled with a bunch of kindergarten people? Yes. 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 We don't know anything. And I'm going to come in and way, no, not interested. I want to tell you about something else, but just, if you don't mind, which I found interesting. Because if I got to go through 4 hours of this, I got to find myself able to handle this, because I am not going to get frustrated. My blood pressure is not going to go up. And I am not ever going to find myself talking to people who don't know what they're talking about, or who want to sit there and either repeat CNN or Fox News or whatever it is. And you know what? If you want to do that, you don't need me for that. I don't watch that. That's not where I go for the news. Because my version is like trying to explain COPD to somebody from the 15th century. It doesn't matter. But I will tell you something which I thought was interesting. I thought this fascinated me. Have you ever, do either of you gentlemen know anything about the Housewives series? Do you know anything about anything? Real Housewives of New Jersey? Anything? Does that ring a bell at all to you?
I know a little.
Okay.
It's quality television, I'll tell
Well,
you.
you better believe it. It was very interesting, because it was one of those things which I loved. The Real Housewives of New Jersey was fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. It was so stupid. It was so great. Then you realize, oh, it's like the first time you heard the Ramones, like, hey. And then you said, okay. All right. Anything else? No? Okay. It's like the Clash. Hey. Then you realize, that's what they do. The Vapors, same thing. It's like one song. And have you ever heard, I'm sorry, sometimes salsa music? I think it's one song. I think it's been the same. I think it's been a conspiracy against me the whole time. Well, but when it came out, I said, this is the greatest show in the world. And you had Teresa Giudice, the judge or whatever. And she might be one of the most organically stupid people ever. And they would sit around and they would argue, and they would say, what do you mean Joe's not? Hey, that's my husband. And I would say, excuse me, yes, there's a camera here. Do you know there's a camera? Am I supposed to believe you're getting out of the car when Manzo ran? Remember when she ran the brownstone and you're arguing? There's a camera here. Do you not know this? You're actually, see, this is so stupid because when I was a kid, I couldn't understand musicals. I asked my mother, how do they all know the song? Where's the band? You have to suspend reality. What does that mean? Just accept it, but it's not real. Okay. Well, I never watched any of the other Housewives, but this one, it was pretty good. And then it got ridiculous, and I don't know. Why am I saying this? This weekend, my wife and I went to the Bergen Town Center. A friend of ours had a grand opening of a wonderful, I don't want to mention the name, but it was a wonderful event. So I'm there, and I'm just watching this. So I look over. I say, hey, there's a big crowd here. What is this? And I've got a picture of it. I'm looking at it. It says, meet and greet, Melissa Gorga, 2 to 4 p.m., enter here. Melissa Gorga with Joe.
Ooh.
Yeah. And you put me at a mall and give me, we used to call them, this is terrible, like at TJ Maxx, the a-hole chairs. Just go, always say, honey, you look around. I'm going to go to Home Furnishings, find a nice chair. I'm going to sit there. That's what I do. All the time. I go right there. And at the mall, I could spend, I say, you take all the time in the world you want. Because I just get information and data. So I watch this. First of all, this might be one of the nicest. They're the nicest people. They treated everybody. You should have seen the line. You should have seen this. And I wanted to ask these people, what are you here for? To see Melissa Gorga. And I was tempted. So I don't know. First of all, I don't want to take a picture with her, not for me, but I don't want to ruin her career because I think they might be falling on hard times. And believe me, I am radioactive. So if you take a picture with me, all bets are off for you. But I watched these people, and they were there for 2 hours, and they were so nice. They were the love and the pictures. I think they were selling cookies or something. I don't know. You know, these people didn't make any money during the Housewives. They really didn't make any money. I remember the whole thing with when the Manzo broke off and this, and I just lost. And Teresa just became, and then she got married to this. Listen to me. I sound like I know these people. It's all an act. They don't own anything. They live in these houses. I don't know. I'm not going to, but I love the show. But I was fascinated. Fascinated. You don't understand this. This is what this is. It's like, what is this? So if I could go back in time, if I could meet Desi Arnaz from Lucy was a genius. He did the 2-camera, 3-camera. They had kinescopes. He took actual film technique and he created a studio audience. Desi Arnaz, Desi Lou Productions. He was a genius. She was the actor. But if I went back, if I said Desi, they see he was a Cuban too, which is, I can relate. Because I would say, oye, ¿cómo anda, chico? Con los pies. Anyway, but I would sit down and say, I'm from the future. Do you know that while this is good, one day, you see how you're worrying about scripts and you're worried about rewrites and whether, William Frawley is drunk or not and all this stuff? Yeah. Well, in the future, there's going to be a show called The Real Housewives of New Jersey. And they're going to say basically nothing. It's going to be these people who basically go to lunch and they're always bitching and moaning. And then after they scream and yell and Teresa turns the table over, they got into a fight with Margaret and pulled out her hair extensions. Then they go to lunch. They can't get away from each other. And it's not scripted. And Desi Arnaz will look at me and he said, this is a show. This is a show. It's a hit. They got the Real Housewives of Bayonne, the Real Housewives of Las Vegas, D.C., Nantucket, just, and there's no end to it. It is this Andy Cohen, who is a genius from Bravo, who talks about nothing. And then they have a show after the fake show is over where they meet to talk about the fake show. And we don't pay these people anything. And then when the show's over, we say, see ya. That's it. That's it. Then they're bankrupt. They have nothing to show for it. Nothing. They used to have a show. This is how demented I was. One time on Bloomfield Avenue, they had I think Melissa had a shop, Envy. Maybe it wasn't hers, a pop-up. I was thinking, I told my wife, maybe we should go in there. She looked at me like, you're out of your mind. I said, don't you understand? This is kitsch. It's kitschy. This is something we're looking. This is not it's not reality TV either. By the way, you know who started reality TV? Where'd that come from? A little bit from MTV. Growing Up Gotti, Victoria Gotti, and her sons. Absolutely put it on the map. And people said, "This is great. This is great. We have these people. We don't have to hire writers. We don't have to worry about anything. We'll just follow them around, get them into fights. I'd like to have drunk people. I like to say, come by, and then kind of get them into arguments, maybe push one into another after they got the load on, have arguments, roll the camera. I wanted to do a show. I had a place years ago. It's since closed. But there was an Irish pub in the neighborhood. And I wanted to do a show called What the F Are They Talking About? Because it would sit around in circles and people would say the same thing, repeat themselves, and say nothing. And I would look around and say, this is the most incredible show in the world. And I was so ahead of the game. Mine's called What Are They Talking About? For people who can't go to a bar, you can't hang around. You come here and you listen to this nonsense. So anyway, there I was watching this for 2 hours. Melissa Gorga and Joe. Oh, Joe, poor. Remember when Joe and Gia Giudice used to fight? This is terrible. I'm talking about this like I know these people. But I wanted to, and I couldn't. But I'd love to sit there and say, do you understand what you mean to these people? They felt like they knew you when your father passed away. And it's a version of soap operas. It's a version of it's culture. It was the most fascinating thing. Then we went to the mall. Anybody been to a mall lately? Been to a mall? No. Remember when malls were cool? Remember the old farts would walk around and have these walking clubs. When they would say, they would say, we bought these sneakers. And you would see these brigades of old people walking. And this kind of like a militaristic, kind of weird style and cadence. You know, the doctors would say, we're going to meet at the mall. And they all wore like brand new, before the Velcro. They had the Velcro later on. And they would just go around in circles. Little white-haired Q-tips marching militaristically. It was great. And then you'd see Cinnabon. Hey, this is great. Before that was, what was the name of that place? It was maybe you remember the name of it. They sold Spencer Gifts. You have Spencer? They had like adult stuff. And
oh yeah. Spencer's was the place.
yeah. I was like, what is this stuff? I don't know. But it's like, this is great. And then teenagers hung out. And then they said, excuse me, but we're not selling anything here. This is turning into a community center. And that's why my wife always says, listen to me carefully. She always says, you see any shopping bags there? I don't know. I said, no shopping bags. They're here for fun. I see. So we're talking to the guy who brings people into the mall. And the problem is you've got to here's one for you. Have you been to American Dream? Have you seen that one? There are people who've never come out. You get lost. I don't even know what it is. It's an amusement park. It's not a mall. It's an amusement park. They've got high-end stuff, Hermes, blah, blah, blah. And I thought, wow. And then one time I was at Short Hills, and I was sitting in the chair, of course, doing my observations. And they had all these high-end stores, Hermes, Cartier, Gucci. And they're outside, and they have this, quote, security guard that lets people in 2 at a time. And I'm looking at this group walking in there with, like, thongs or, shoes or stepping on the back of the shoe. I'm thinking, I don't think they're going to be buying anything. I'm just saying, but the lines would be out. And I said, and I wanted so much to say, did you have any sales today? No. Well, look around you. What do you want? So now what's happening, here's a new trend. In all of these malls, they're going to be converting huge swaths and portions of it to low-income housing and new housing because they want you eventually to live in a place where you do everything you there. You live there, you shop there, you eat there, you go to work there. Just like Google used to have, you go to work, you sleep there, you meet there, you get married there, you have your dry cleaning there. They don't want you to leave. It's this weird it's kind of like an improvised prison. Malls are changing drastically. In every place, every mall, they're going to sell swaths, huge plots and parcels of it away to low-income housing. Oh, yeah. So we're going to continue with this because I find this absolutely phenomenally interesting. And I don't want to talk about that other stuff because, frankly, with all due respect, and please don't take this the wrong way. Please, you know I love you. But you don't know what you're talking about. So consequently, I'm not going to waste your time and my time talking about a subject you know nothing about. It's much better if I talk about a subject I know nothing about. I want to talk about something which I found interesting. Just this world of the mall. So many things. How about this? Driving. Oh, we did a Costco run the other day, which was just like, it was. I don't know what this was. We were talking about Costco. If I find you're driving 20 minutes for a parking spot, 4, 5, 10 spaces earlier, I'm going to pull you up. I'm going to have this car that comes behind you with this light. I'm going to say, would you come with us, please? Just leave your car there. And I'm going to take you and we're going to test your brain. We may not let you out. We're going to find out why would you wait with your blinker on 20 minutes when you could be in and out by walking, what, a minute? Maybe even a minute? And while we're on the subject, have you seen how much, are you really saving that much money for Costco gas to wait like 3 hours for this? It looks like, you don't remember this. Remember, were you around during Jimmy Carter when they had that odd even? See, I don't want to ask you age, but I forgot your page. Like I'm surprised. Either you're making this up or you're like 80 years old, one of the two. I'll say, Blaze, you remember the Depression? Yes, as a matter of ration stamps. What? Remember World War I? Yes, I do. How old are you? 130. But there was these lines. Remember these lines?
I remember the lines. I was a little kid, but I remember.
Still remember. Okay, fine. That's good enough. But it was, oh my God. It was just, but that's what, the Costco, how much are you saving? You're sitting there with your car running and you've got I did it one time just to do it. It's like, this is not for me. And one more thing before I forget. I happened to look at something. I guess there's a camera here. This seat, this angle is so unattractive. We look like, I don't know what we look like. Like we're in a home. It's the worst angle ever. It's horrible. I'm thinking, oh my God, what is this? Because I forget. I'm looking, because it's weird. I'm not in this. It's not a nice chair. It's a strange, and you tend to relax. And when you relax, you end up looking like just a slob. You're just sitting back there because I'm very relaxed doing this, as opposed to sitting up and, I'm not going to, it's 1 a.m. I'm not going to wear a jacket. I'm not going to wear a tie. It's like, it's 1 a.m. Plus it's 9,000 degrees out there. Some guy's watering off the sidewalk. So I'm not in a position, but I watched it for the first time. I thought, oh my God, this is horrible. But what are you going to do? What? One of these days we're all going to be dead and nobody's going to say, yeah, but you know what? He did these terrible photos when he was doing that WABC thing. In any event. So I love these mall things. I love the way people act. Don't you love to look at people's carts too? It's like, look at that. Look at this. Aluminum foil, rectal itch cream, and oven mitts. Wow, that's weird. Or this one. Have you seen the baskets at Costco? They're like that. You could put a family in there. There was this guy, he had like a pound of bacon or something. I said, you came to Costco for this? in this big basket. You put it in. You went through all this nonsense? You ever have these people who stop and talk to you at Costco about aluminum siding?
That's the worst.
I love to say, I'd love to. I'll tell you what, I'd love to do me a favor. Can I have your home number? I'll call you tonight. Can I have your home number? What? Can I have your home number? I'll call you. No, you can't have my home number. Well, you want to talk to me now? I'm busy. Then they had this thing that was weird. I walked into the Costco and they said, I went in the back and I had to use, the loo, the can, the head. And they said, out of order. How is a bathroom out of order? Go on aisle 140. And they had these, I don't know where they got these portable porta-johns. Wow. At a Costco. Ooh, hard times, baby. Hard times. And of course, you know what I got? The 90-pound case of water. Pick that up. Okay, honey. I've got 3 testicles now. One's herniated, one's from an accident years ago. So I thought this was my life. But going back to what fascinated me at 30 minutes past the hour, whether we needed this or not, I throw that one in. I'm doing that a lot now for no particular reason. I'm just stopping 30 past the hour. On the other side of midnight with Lionel. There was Melissa Gorga, bless her heart, standing there shaking hands. Hi, how are you? That's great. That's really, and there's Joe. Hey, I'll take a picture with you. And Joe's thinking, I was at the top of my game. I was at the top of my game. I was on People Magazine. I was the biggest thing every week. And now I'm shaking hands and giving out cookies at the Bergen Mall with my wife. My, how the mighty have fallen. But you know what? It's good and honest work, and they were very, very nice people. Let's go to, by the way, this poor guy, Isaac, wants to talk about Iran. Not a chance. Not a chance. Why? I told you. It's like trying to discuss emphysema with somebody from the 14th century. Robert in Pearl River. Robert, you're on the other side of midnight. Con Lionel.
Hey, Lionel, how you doing? You mentioned, I came in when you mentioned I Love Lucy. I mean, what a great clown she was. And, I seen a remake with Nicole Kidman, and the other one was
Javier Bardem. And the other one. I like when you say that. And the other one. I want you on my trivia team.
One of them was the Fred. He was the only one who was somewhat okay, but Desi Arnaz.
What do you mean he was somewhat okay? What does that mean, Fred? Fred? You mean Fred Mertz?
Fred Mertz. I think Fred Mertz was in that one.
What do you mean he was the only one who was okay? What does that mean?
Only one who had a good likeness, who was like Fred Mertz.
Fred Mertz, they hated him. William Frawley was a drunk. Did you know that? They wanted to fire him. They hated him. What are you talking about?
I'm just talking about the recreation.
Don't get snippy with me, pal. Don't get snippy with me. I'm kidding. Go ahead.
I know. Desi Arnaz, when he was young,
yes,
he was handsome, almost as handsome as Paul Newman, really. And then they have Xavier Bardem, who played the
Javier Bardem.
Right, and also in the James Bond. How the hell they needed 2 unknown actors, amateurs, to play these people, and they never do that. It's always
Javier Bardem, by the way, has that broken, smashed nose look, like Stevie Ray Vaughan had it too, with the mouth and the teeth and the nose. Like what? It's like he went through a windshield. You notice that?
Exactly. Why the hell would they make him Desi Arnaz? There's so many good unknown Latin actors.
Exactly. Exactly.
Oh, Kidman. Oh my God.
She's horrible.
Exactly. The energy that Lucy had, she was tough as nails, first of all. And, you didn't start an argument with her. You have Nicole Kidman.
Remember Lucy when she did that? And I told her, she was married to Gary Morton. Remember that one? And I was like, what's that about? I also heard that
that was Here's Lucy. That was another one. She was old. That pilot was called Here's Lucy instead of I Love Lucy.
And the follow-up was called There's Lucy, which is weird, kind of a surreal kind of a concept. In any event, but Lucy had later on in her older days, Bob. She had that voice. I mean, you could light a match on it. It was horrible.
heavy smoker.
Do you
Lionel.
know? It wasn't just that. Do you know that Vivian Vance had to be 10 pounds heavier than her? I mean, there was all these weird things, and
Yeah.
when this club that Ricky played at the, what was it called? Where he did Babalu.
Babalu.
Yeah, well, that was the name of the
Babalu.
song.
Right.
The club was the Tropicana.
Right, the Tropicana.
Right.
He had
the
this
Tropicana.
place. It was okay, darling, we're going to rehearsal. And you see there was like three people sitting in this kind of a big set with like four tables kind of spread out. And there would always be playing to the camera. And I felt like
Right.
saying, if I bought tickets for that and I'm ringside, I felt like saying, excuse me, what are you looking at? I'm here.
Well, Vivian Vance, when she was younger, she was very glamorous. You see her when she was a young actress. She was
You've got
very
this
attractive.
fixation about people, what they look like when they were young,
Well,
how
because
they look
I'm
like.
of that fame, I make films. I'm an independent filmmaker. I make intros
porn.
and recreations. Of
You're into
pictures.
porn. Stop it. Stop
No
it.
porn.
Oh, come
no
on.
porn.
Stop it. Don't tell me you don't have some blue racy stag film, people with black tape and socks. Come on. Give me an idea. What is your best, some of your best work?
My best work is a recreation of the Spy Who Loved Me with the James Bond recreate where I'm in it and I act in it to show my range. But I do a lot of different things so that one I can't make any money with.
Now, when
because,
you said
know,
to show your range as a director or as a
as a filmmaker, yeah, because they're copyrighted, so I can't make money with those. It's illegal, but. So I have to stay within the law, but I show those. For
you say
range if
that
somebody
reluctantly.
wants to.
You say that almost like, you got to stay within the law. Now, are you a director? By the way, I'm going to stop you right now, just for 1 second, because this is just terrible radio, and I want to do it. As you know, the first thing I do is I come in and I change the channel for this TV station from Fox News, because Fox News will make you retarded. Without a doubt. Slowly, you can feel the IQ points just dissolve. But I'm watching something on Fuse. These channels, I've never heard of this. Cheese, Fuse. And they have an actual channel spelled, and I didn't even know you could spell that. PFGH something. But it's the last days of Michael Jackson. And Michael Jackson is walking out with his umbrella. And who's to the left of him? Shmuley Boteach. What a racket this guy's in. Is he beautiful? He's everywhere. Bobby Kennedy, this one. What does he do? And his daughter has a very interesting sideline, and we'll just leave it at that. We're just going to leave it at that. I just had to tell you that because also, the purpose of my saying this is to disrupt the logical course of this conversation so that we can throw in kind of like this weird, left wing or left field or left wing for that matter.
I said, what was your favorite Lucy episode?
See, you're bringing me back. You're bringing me back. I think, believe it or not, when Ethel got rabies,
the best one I liked when George Reeves.
You just let it go by. You're beautiful. I don't want you in my film if you're not paying any attention to what I'm saying, and you're a director and you're not listening to what's going on. When George Reeves, remember when George Reeves, when we were a kid, I was told he killed himself by jumping out of a window because he thought he was Superman. I don't know what he.
No. I did research and I found out exactly what happened.
You know that what I said was a joke, right?
Yeah,
okay.
He had parties and he had a revolver, and he would have when he was sober he would show friends with playing Russian roulette with one bullet, and he was very good at it. But one time he got in a drunken stupor and he was depressed. And he went upstairs. He says, all right, you dummies. Okay, I'm going upstairs. You guys can
Wait a
hang
minute,
out.
hold it. You're just making this up. Hang on a second. I'm going to get to the source.
No, that's a research.
How did the actor George Reeves, who played Superman, die? All right, I'm asking ChatGPT. All right.
No,
And if there's one thing we can do, please do me a favor. Riff, do me a favor. Send a memo to somebody. Can we fix these phones? We can't talk. Just like even on my crappy cell phone, I stop talking. It's like when I talk, he can't hear me, I can't hear him. That's question number one. And number two, hang on a second. Hang on a second. Hang on. See what I mean? Hang on. See what I mean? We got to get to the bottom of this. And number two, carbon date that pizza in the rec room or the break room. I'd say circa 48, 50, maybe right before the Korean War. It's been there and it's still there. And nobody has the wherewithal to say, look, I'm just going to throw this thing away because it's starting to get a little funky. And there's nothing like cheese and marinara after about 20 hours of sitting out in the sun. Okay, now hang on a second. Here's what happened. This is important, and I thank you for this call. You have no idea how I hate that. George Reeves, who famously played, didn't play, but famously played Superman in the 50s TV series, Adventures of Superman, died on June the 16th, 1959. You were in high school at the time. I saw Riff or Blaze. From a gunshot wound to the head. His death was officially ruled a suicide, but the circumstances have fueled decades of speculation and, you know what's coming, conspiracy theories. By the way, Ice-T doing a commercial for Car Shield. This is where Melissa Gorga is at the mall selling pictures of herself, and Ice-T, Mr. Badass, Mr. whatever, he's doing a car. Car Shield's a fine, fine product. Here are the facts, by the way. The official story was Reeves was found dead in his bedroom with a single gunshot wound, a Luger at his feet. Police ruled it as a suicide. A Luger. Do you ever fire a Luger? They're really weird the way the breech is. It looks broken when you pull back the slide. The odd details. No fingerprints on the gun. Delayed reporting by guests in the house. And inconsistent witness statements. Now, some people believe he was murdered, possibly connected to his affair with Tony Mannix. Not Joe Mannix, not the Armenian famous actor. What was his name, Mannix? Da-dun, 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 da-dun. You know what his name is. He was Armenian, and Gail Fisher was, I think, Peggy, one of the few earliest African-American characters on TV. His name was, you know his name. Oh, I can see it now.
Mike Connors.
Mike Connors. His real name was Brostach Domichva, with no vowels and a lot of umlauts and pronunciation schwas university. Anyway, some people believe he was murdered, connected with his affair with Tony Mannix, wife of MGM executive Eddie Mannix, a man with alleged mob ties. And others suspect the shooting was accidental or staged during a drunken party gone wrong. You ever have one of those, Riff? You ever go to a drunken party gone wrong? I've been to more of those than you can imagine. It's when they go right that bothers me. Then it turns into a Tupperware party, and what's the point? And when was the last time anybody actually had a Tupperware? You know what? Let's do that. Let's do that. And the first thing we're going to do when I buy that Tupperware is take that discarded, rotting pizza in there and put it into a Tupperware container and bury it somewhere on Governor's Island. To this day, the full truth remains unresolved, adding that George Reeves' death to Hollywood's darkest and most mysterious legends. And there you have that. See? Isn't this fascinating? Isn't this fascinating? Poor guy. This poor guy, Isaac. Isaac, we're not going to be talking about Iran, okay? You got it? You got it?
But can I tell you something else?
It better be good. I'll give you a reprieve. Don't let me down, Isaac. Don't try to slip it in. I know how you do that. Go ahead. What is it?
Listen, you were saying before that people talk about things that they don't know about.
Correct.
But I'm here to tell you things that I do know about regarding the feeling that it is when you're in the Holy Land and you have to run to a bomb shelter.
Okay, thank you so much. Boy, I tell you what, if you have do we have that careening out of control? By the way, Isaac is what we call in the business an assassin. Isaac will call your show, take whatever momentum, whatever fun, whatever joy, whatever mirth, merriment, and destroy it. Desiccate it, suck the life right out of the show. He wants to call up and make sure you understand what it's like. Here comes Isaac. Here he comes. Get out of the way. Wait, he's still moving. No. Here comes a semi. Watch out. This guy, the momentum, not done yet, still going. Through the house and skid marks for a mile. That was a bowling alley. That's it. Thank you, Isaac. By the way, if you're in the radio biz and you have a competitor, have Isaac call them. Isaac works by the hour. Say, Isaac, do me a favor. This is the hotline number. Call up and kill the show. Would you? Yeah, great. Yeah, you got it? Well, listen, Isaac, I'm going to be at a party and I want it to end early. Could you call up and invite yourself over? Or maybe you could just show up and give your bomb shelter story. Not that it's not important, but I mean, just. Do you ever see those time-lapse commercials of like a mouse decomposing? Do you ever see that? You see it's really fascinating. Oh, look, the tail. Oh, look, that's the Isaac call. He just below zero. It's like dark matter. Dark matter. Okay, let's go to Jerry in Jericho. Similarity? Perhaps, maybe.
No, Lionel. The funniest thing is, I know Jeff Leonard, who's the attorney for Giudice, Teresa Giudice.
Giudice.
$1.8 million on the show.
She made $1.8 million
on the show. I'm sure you make more than that on your radio.
Oh, of course.
Show,
Are you kidding?
$1.8 million.
Now, how do you know that?
Imagine $1.8 million.
How do you keep saying $1.8 million? $1.8 million. How do you know that?
I know the attorney who said she made $1.8 million.
Now, why would the attorney? First of all, I'm sure he appreciates you announcing to everybody because she's going through some times right now, and she may not need that broadcast. Because if she's claiming penury or bankruptcy or whatever it is, not that I'm saying she is.
Claim whatever they want. She made $1.8 million.
Hey, there you go. You're just repeating what you're just spilling the bag, just letting the cat out of the bag, right?
But you know what's great?
And I'm sure that lawyer's probably saying, "No, wait a minute, I didn't say that. I don't reveal things." I'm sure he's a fine, upstanding barrister. Remember the bar? And that's the last thing you know. And poor Joe. Remember Joe Giudice? They sent him back to Italy. He's probably glad they deported his ass before anybody. Not these low rent scoundrels here. Not like Nick Barr, Kilmar, Garcia. These degenerate murderers. Can't get rid of him. But Joe Giudice, out, gone. So fast. And if you can possibly do me a favor, if there's any way, Blaze, you can do this. If you can find Teresa's daughter, I think Teresa had two daughters that looked almost identical. And one who looked like Swedish. She was like the equivalent of Dan Blocker. Not in terms of her look, but remember they had Bernard Roberts, little Joe Michael Landon, and then the Swede, Dan Blocker. This one daughter they had looks, I don't know where she's from. Just saying. Just saying. But this one daughter, I think is the eldest, was doing a rap. She does this rap thing, and she sang this song. Poor kid was like, I don't know, 8, 9, 10, who knows? And she did this rap version. This is Teresa Giudice's daughter. Gia, Joya, Julie, whatever her name is. And she had all of the depths of a normal 8 or 9-year-old or whatever her age was. And she did this rap song. And you got to know, it went something like this. I woke up in the morning at a certain time. It's in the morning. It's in the morning. A lot of people wake up in the morning, which is a recurring theme of most blues music. Woke up this morning, the sun came up, and she started crying during her rap song. And they were saying, "That is great, Julia." And I said, "I want a copy of this."
I got it.
You what? No.
Waking up in the morning, thinking about so many things. I just wish things would get better. I'm trying to get rid of them, but nothing seems to stay the same. Woke up in the morning, doing my hair, makeup, getting my clothes on. Walking into school, thinking of what is going to happen next.
That's it.
Oh, whoa.
Call David
Things
Foster.
Are just caught up in my mind. Just cannot get rid of them.
Okay.
I am worrying and worrying.
Okay.
I just cannot.
I like the vibrato and the quiver.
I cannot take chances.
Like she's freezing
It's just too much.
and in dread
Waking
fear.
up in the morning, going into school, worrying and worrying.
There's a theme to this.
It's just too much. Yeah.
And I like the piano in the background. He probably has somebody. Give it a shot there. Do me a favor. Make sure you have that handy. Put a flag. Do not erase. Whenever I'm saying, listen, Isaac just called and derailed the show. Nature Boy, please play. What is there a name of that? Was it called?
Thinking about so many things.
Okay, that's it. I got that.
just
You know what? It's like marinated. It's like pizza sometimes, except for that stuff in the break room. But pizza sometimes the next day tastes better. Sometimes like spaghetti sauce tastes better. That song gets better with age. Please keep that. I remember watching that and I was horrified. Not so much by the complexity of the song, but how somebody that young could show so much depth. I was very good friends with Jerry Wexler, and I would have been on the phone immediately saying, Jerry, you got to come out of retirement. I know there was Aretha Franklin, I know Etta James, I know Big Joe Turner, I know Doug Somm, even worked with Dylan, but this song, Gia, I think her name is Gia, Gia, right? Gia Giudice, Gigi, there you go. This is the one. Just put that aside. And let me also say something. I've been doing this for a long time. A long, long, long time. My first radio show was 1988. And I've never heard somebody, I say to you something like, hey, can you get a lot of times I've worked with, engineers, board house people, and I say, hey, can you get a car careening out of control? You come up with one 30 minutes long. I don't even know where you got this from. Then I said, hey, is there any chance that maybe, I know this is hard to say, but Giudice said, got it. You've got it? Where did you, what obscure dark web file? You probably have like snuff films or something. I don't even know what, I don't want to know what you have. Please remember that. Just whenever I'm feeling low, whenever the show needs an up, you know what I mean? Just bring her in. That killed me. In fact, I want to make that. I think we can still do. I want to do a remix. What do you call it? What do you kids call it today? We do a remix or a sample or something where you have some, like every breath you take, and then somebody will do a rap over, something like that. What's it called? A
mashup. We can mash it with something else.
A mashup. And then we can we'll work riffraff into it, explaining how he makes Munster cheese sandwiches, really to bring it all together. You know what I mean? Full circle. Oh my God. Let me go to, let me see, Jim in Connecticut. Jim, you're on the Lionel Show. On the other side of midnight. That's good. See, I wanted to see where he'd go with it. He probably never thought, like, normally people hang up on me, but I didn't have many.
Waking up in the morning, thinking about so many things.
Can we please transcribe that? Waking up in the morning, working on so many things. She's 8 years old. Right?
Waking up in the morning, thinking about so many things.
Thinking about so many things.
I just wish things would get better.
I just wish.
I'm trying to get rid of them, but
okay,
nothing
I like that.
seems to stay the same.
Like this song.
Woke up in the morning, doing my hair, makeup, getting my clothes on,
baby.
Walking into school, thinking of what is going to happen next.
Get somebody bigger on the
Things
phone.
are just caught up in my mind.
You think Joe Piscopo could maybe work on something they could maybe bring in? Do this a la Sinatra? Maybe a Vic Damone? Kind of an esque type of thing?
Waking up in the morning.
Yeah. Okay, all right. All righty. There we go. All righty. Our number is 800. I haven't given the number on yet. 800-848-9222. Unbelievable. This is, I promise you right now as we speak, there is not anybody, anywhere, who is playing Gia Giudice, singing Waking Up in the Morning, wishing things would get better. What are you going to do? Do we need to do one of these things? Great. This is Lionel with you, trying to recover. That completely cleared the phones. Either that or we've had a huge power shortage, but all of our calls gone. You want to clear the board? Play a little bit of that. More coming up, I promise. Not only is this happening, but as people always want to know, what are you watching in the background in the studio? One of the great, this is on Get TV. I didn't even know, Get, Fuse, Cheese, Rat TV. I have no idea. Never heard of this before. But it's Quincy with the great Jack Klugman. I was hooked on Quincy. Hooked. Because he never, ever did his job. All these dead bodies were piling up. Dr. Acid said, Quincy, we got to get to the, you're a medical examiner. And he showed up. Remember, he had this car. It was a station wagon. It said, medical examiner. And he shows up with this brown station wagon with like a light on top. And they made him out to be like he was a kind of they had him on a boat. Quincy, Jack Klugman lived on a boat. He had this young chick in a bikini, and they had him like grabbing skin, like he was checking the suppleness of a cadaver, and they zoom back, and it's a woman on his boat. On his sailboat, she's in a bikini, and he's like fondling her. I said, this is the sickest thing. Imagine you're on a date with Quincy, and he shows up with this brown station wagon, says coroner. I loved it. One of the best things ever. The first time, you don't remember this. Maybe you do. I don't know, because with Blaze, he remembers things. Remember Lindbergh's? Oh yeah, I was there. Lindy made it. Are you kidding? How old are you? It was the time on Dragnet when Dragnet was responsible. Jack Webb was responsible for LSD being prohibited. Thank you, Jack. Thank you. It was called Blue Boy, and Blue Boy was the episode, and LSD was not illegal. Nobody had any idea of what LSD was. No idea. Acid, but because of Jack Webb, it changed everything. Well. For me, what did it was Tourette syndrome and Quincy. I didn't really know what Tourette. I never really heard of Tourette. I mean, I kind of heard about it, but didn't really know it. And it was a very, very serious episode, because the thing about Tourette's is what people don't know is that the coprolalia, the thing people always joke about, saying inappropriate things. That's the least frequent. Not episodic or symptom of it. There's OCD, tics and blink. Do you ever see people who sometimes blink? My grandmother one time said, her English, she's Sicilian. She looked at somebody, she said, stop lightning. She couldn't figure out how to say, somebody's eyes were blinking. I said, no, I don't think he can help that. Anyway, Quincy made people aware of Tourette's, and it was an orphan drug issue. Now, Quincy was a martyr. He would say, "What do you mean?" And you never saw his top teeth. You saw his bottom lip. And he would feel your pain worse than you felt it. If he went to your funeral and you were crying about a lost member of your family, he would feel it worse. He was so empathic. But the two people he had on, the episodic martyrs, Los Tres, I don't know what martyr is in Spanish, Michael Constantine and Joe Campanella. Joe Campanella was, I think, the cop in Mannix, if I recall correctly. Every private eye had a guy, a policeman, they always kind of got the information from. So Joe Campanella was one. He had another brother, Campanella, who played the cop in an episode of All in the Family. But it was Joe Campanella and Michael Constantine. Michael Constantine was room 222, also My Big Fat Greek Wedding. So they would talk, and they would try to argue about who felt. And Joe Campanella said, don't you understand? These kids today can't get treatment for Tourette's because of this orphan drug bill. I said, okay, that was good. All right, Constantine, what do you have? And he was saying, these kids today are walking around, the young people, their lives are ruined over the fact that these greedy drug companies don't have enough care because of this orphan drug. Jack Klugman, Quincy says, is that the best you can do? And he just out-martyred him. He says, let me tell you, what do you mean? He pinches his fingers and goes, what do you mean? Just hurt myself. Meanwhile, Dr. Aston comes in and says, Quincy, let me remind you, you're a public servant, and you are just to clear people. We have bodies stacked up outside. Stop getting involved in these weird things. Well, anyway, so they had, now this is important, they had this episode of Tourette's. He was a concert pianist. Now, they're not supposed to be funny. There's nothing funny about it at all. Let me just state something right now. I'm not laughing at this. I don't think this is funny. But this was how I was introduced to Tourette's. Quincy. Guy's playing the concert, like Van Cliburn or something, and all of a sudden, he does a Jerry Lewis. He's playing this, da 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 da, da, hey, and the hand goes out. He goes, hey, it's amazing. And I thought, oh my God, what is this? I didn't know what it was. I never heard of it. Of course, this is not a true depiction of it. So while at the same time he introduced us to this terrible disease and the orphan drug issue, he had this one actor who was very good doing this over the top. I'm sorry, Charlie Callis meets Jerry Lewis playing the piano. Absolutely riveting TV. So that was a long explanation, I recognize. That is what I have here. Because that brings me back to it, okay? Now, all of the phones are lighted. To be honest with you, we have 5 lines, okay? I'm going to read you some of the stories here and see which one you would pick. Nick, by the way, in Virginia says, I have a transgender yodel. Now, let me stop right there. Wasn't that a Barbara Streisand? It was a Yentl, excuse me. Or was it Lentil? Yodel. If Yentl yodeled, that sounds like a Jackie Mason thing. A Yentl, a yodel, this ting, the ting. It's more like Myron Cohen. In any event, that's Nick in Virginia. We'll get to that's a good one. Dave in the Villages says, you're fantastic. That looks like a winner, but we'll see. Amy in Tennessee. Now this kills me. She's trying to lure us with this one. This is what it says. And by the way, when you see this, Riff Raff writes these things. He will write out in longhand the explanation, runs it through ChatGPT, and then puts that on here. So this is the best version of the call summary. He writes, Amy, Tennessee, I told a boring story to you last. I'm calling to redeem myself. Hey, that's pulling me in. Somebody who admits it was pretty bad. But I'm calling back. Ephraim in Hudson County says, Russian roulette with a Luger? Hey! Seriously. Honestly, does Greg Kelly get this? I don't think so. And for good reason. And then Greg in Michigan says, George Reeves' death details. Now that's what it is. So I'm going to go first of all to the obviously self-congratulatory Dave in the Villages in Florida. Dave, you're on the other side of midnight with Lionel. Where are the Villages?
Hey, Lionel. No, I live in the Village on 8th Street in Greenwich Village.
It says the Villages, Florida.
Yeah, but you can't read English. What do you expect?
Wait a minute. Are you telling me? Stop for a second. Stop. You're in the Village on 8th Street, and you, Riff, you got the Villages in Florida? What the hell's the matter with you? Wait a minute. Hang on a minute.
No, yeah.
Just hang on a second. Riff, do you have anything to say for yourself? Is that it? How did you misunderstand this?
Yeah, you hear village, and there's only 2 options, right?
Village. There you go. Village people.
Yeah.
Village Inn. All right, Dave. Talk to me, sir. Talk to me.
Hey, I'm so happy you're in New York. I never realized you were in New York. I used to follow you when I worked clubs in Florida, and we'd wait until midnight till you drive back to wherever we're going to. We could listen to you. I loved you, Dan. I mean, it's still very funny. I'm so glad you're back in New York.
Dave.
How long have you been in New York?
How long have I been? Forever.
Yeah. But, I mean, on the radio down here?
Down here? I'm in New York.
I'm trying to say the Village. It's on ABC.
Yeah. I've been here for a while. Hey, Dave, thank you, my friend.
All right.
All right, thank you. I didn't want to say, but I was thinking, think of some jobs Dave should not be. Hostage negotiator. Instructing people how to land a plane. When the stories where the student pilot was up there and the pilot had a heart attack. So the girl calls up the tower and they've talked him down. Imagine Dave doing that? Okay, so this thing on the right. What? What am I talking about? This guy thinks it was the Villages in Florida. Wow. See, it's that kind of attention to detail. You know, don't you feel bad? I say to Blaze here, I said, you know, I heard this obscure song from 14 years ago on this obscure show with this obscure 10-year-old, and he pulls it up out of nowhere. And then
Waking up in the morning,
there we go.
Thinking about so many
Yeah!
things. I just wish things would get better.
Yes!
I'm trying to get rid of them.
Yeah. Believe me, I know the feeling. Sometimes, in fact, that's going to be our sign for when a call is really bad, and some of them have been.
Waking up
Yes! Yes!
thinking about so many things.
I'm going to call everybody's answering machine. I'm going to leave that on everybody I know, just for the hell of it. All right, let's go back to the phones, back to what I call fun. Nick in Virginia. Nick, you're on the other side of midnight with Lionel.
Hey, Lionel. That's like the perfect storm of going after somebody, right?
I don't know what that means. Go ahead.
Well, anyway, hey, I have a transgender yodel, but I need a little bit of help. Could I get like
you have a transgender yodel? You do?
Well, yes, sir.
Okay. Now, what motivated you to
your show?
Okay.
About the first time I listened to you, were talking about yodels, different type, and who does it anymore. And
that's true. That's true.
That was an assignment. You know, you give me an assignment.
That's
I'm
right.
Follow it. All right.
Right.
I'm a very loyal listener.
Thank you, sir.
Because I'm old and I don't have anything else to do.
Okay, we got the prefatory part of this. Now let's hear the transgender yodel.
Okay, could I get like a echo sound in the background? Like
no. Listen. You're really stretching this one out. So let's hear it.
All right, here we go. Said he's a lady, 80, name of Katie, 80, but I don't know, and I don't think so.
You know, that's an excellent. Yes, you can't get better than that, though. Yes, and you have to get the quiver. And you have to make it sound as though you're in one of those vibra belts. Remember the old days when when they thought, hey, I'm going to lose weight. You remember that one? Of course you do. You would get in this machine. It was a belt that would shake your innards about. And for some reason they thought, this will help me lose weight. Let's go to Ephraim in Hudson County. You're on the other side of midnight with Lionel.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that the only person I could think of that would play Russian roulette with a Luger would be Terry Case from Chicago, the band.
Yeah. Is that supposed to be funny or?
You know how he died?
No, I know, but I mean, is the purpose of this call to be funny or clever?
Yes.
Okay. Well, better luck next time. That was one of the worst days. But no, that was the worst. You know how people have, it was terrible. People went through John Lennon. Horrible death. Buddy Holly, horrible. When Terry Kath tragically, accidentally killed himself at 78, I believe, that really got me. So that didn't hit a nerve with me, but I understand it. Sometimes people think it's funny, in a very strange way. Greg in Michigan, you're on the other side of midnight with Lionel.
Well, good morning, Lionel.
Good morning, Greg.
May I start out with the way that many of your callers do, and that is you're brilliant, educated, entertaining.
Oh, I know.
You're just wonderful, Lionel.
Thank you so much. You are so correct, sir.
Yeah. I don't think I'll be able to beat the transgender yodeler.
No.
But I thought of another
Stop
detail.
right there. Stop right there.
Oh, okay.
I never thought anybody would say, if somebody just tuned in right now, I always think about this. I always think about how people get into the car and they think, they put in the key and let's say they're at LaGuardia and they have this rental car and they turn on the radio and you say, I don't think I can beat the transgender yodeler. That's the kind of show I want. Nobody else would ever have that. So thank you, sir, for that.
I thought of another detail concerning the George Reeves conspiracy.
Okay.
Now, I don't use ChatGPT, so I'm doing this by memory. I believe that he was quite a womanizer.
Yep.
And as well as having an affair with that wife of that producer.
Mannix, right.
There was Yeah, but there was another woman at the party who he was having an affair with, and she went upstairs to talk to him, and then the others heard a gunshot, and she came running downstairs and said, "Don't tell the cops when they get here that I ran upstairs that I was with him or something." So, maybe she was the one.
Isn't that something? Well, put it this way. It's one of those issues which I don't think people went out of their way to solve it. Like Bob Crane's murder. I don't think anybody even bothered. I just think, well, there it goes. Same thing with our friend, Mr. Reeves. But I remember as a kid, it really bothered me sort of as a kid because, well, little background. What I found the most interesting about Superman was when all they had to do was he had a pair of glasses on. And he worked with Lois Lane, Jimmy Olsen, Mr. White, Perry White, remember that? And he just had a pair of glasses, had a suit on, but the same voice. They've spent a considerable amount of time, and all he had to do was just put the glasses on, and nobody suspected anything. Nothing. I'm Superman. I'm not. I'm Superman. Just put the glasses on. And that, as a kid, said, but they know him. If Batman, at least he had a mask. At least, maybe, sort of, maybe. But this, it bothered me. Our number is 800-848-9222. 800-848-9222. This is Lionel with you. By the by, in case you people say, how do I reach you? LionelMedia.com. Got a big show coming up July 19th at the Cutting Room in New York City. Oh, my God. It'll be fine for dad or grad. And yes, Mama makes julienne fries. Now, on Tuesday, June 24th, let me see what my app reads. I know this is terrible. I'm trying to explain to you what I'm seeing graphically. Imagine this. It starts off from 6 a.m., it's about 84, and then right around, it goes till 1 p.m., 99 degrees. This is Tuesday here in New York City, okay? And you see a circle with spikes out showing the radiation beams from a sun. You got that? It's the sun. And the circle with these lines coming out like, oh, those are the heat ray. Okay, now, at 2 o'clock, from 2 to 4, it's going to be 101. This is Tuesday. Now, do you know what the emoji is or the logo? It's the sun, but it's a darker orange. But to the left is a little cactus. Now, is that great or what? It's 101. So I guess they put it. It's hot, real hot. Make the sun orange, and when it's really it's okay. Now, I'm just letting you know. I'm telling you now. Tuesday. I'm telling you right now. Tuesday. That's what I'm saying here. If you're in New York City, from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. In fact, let me tell you something. On the 26th of Thursday, 8 o'clock in the morning, it's going to rain. I can tell you the next 10. Now, of course, most of the time this is wrong. But why we have weather people on TV, I will never. It's like they don't realize. It's like the time of day service. I'm going to do this. I know what he's going to say. But I remember when you would call up that number like at the time of day and they tell you the temperature? Of course he's going to say that. Remember that? Remember when you do that? Yeah.
Absolutely.
See, there you go. Remember when penicillin was Fleming? I think it was Pasteur, was it? Remember that? Yes, I remember that. Well, there was a time when they stopped that because they said, we don't need to do the time of day because, well, people have a clock. I'm not even sure why they did it then. But not weathermen on TV. No. I saw this guy. Who was it? John Elliott. Bless his heart. Still doing it. Explaining the weather. I know. Came back. He's on Channel 2. Nice guy. He's always like, hey, I'm your friend. Okay, maybe. He's still like, I don't know how to tell these people. What year are you in? Nothing personal. I'm sure he's a fine, fine man. But the whole that's like having, I still can't understand traffic on TV. Traffic on TV. We don't have a TV in the car. What difference does it make? By the time you get in the Belt Parkway, it's done. There's a collision at exit. I'm not on exit 3. But you know what I am at? 30 past the hour. On the other side of midnight with Lionel. Pretty good the way I just blend that in, isn't it? The segue is so smooth. Seamless, I think is the word. These are things I do not understand. It's as though the folks this is so funny. You're not going to believe this. Quincy on a horse. I swear to you, you're going to say, no. I looked up. Quincy's out with Sam Yamana on a horse. That's my world. But back to the fun, back to the excitement of this thing that we're doing, the first day of the week. It's been so terrific so far, and it even gets better. Now, everything in my being says, don't do this. She's telegraphing this case is going to be like a real collision, but I'm going to do it because I'm a masochist and a sadist. Amy in Tennessee, you're on the other side of midnight with Lionel.
Lionel, the first time I tuned in, you pointed out Stephen Smith's ever so slight neck tick.
Oh, yes.
Oh, about 5 weeks ago. And I said, oh, no, I'm going to be getting up at 2 a.m.
Have you noticed it? Have you noticed it?
Of course.
Now, by the way, it's not, excuse me, it's not Stephen A. Smith. That's the ESPN person.
Right, right.
Stephen Miller, right? Yes. No, from the Trump administration, not Stephen Smith.
Oh, my goodness. Right, I'm so sorry. Well, yeah, see, it's supposed to be sleeping. Anyway.
Stephen A. Smith has his own particular problems, namely being Stephen A. Smith. But Stephen Miller is the one who does this thing with, it's like his collar doesn't fit right, or there's too much starch or something. He kind of jerks his head. Yes. In any event, go ahead.
Yes. And by the way, President Trump used to have some sort of little tick where he would tug on the right side of his jacket. And I think somebody pointed it out to him because he stopped doing it a few weeks ago. And he looks a lot more stiff because of it.
Well, it's funny you say that. Have you, here's one for you. Watch Vladimir Putin walk. His left hand one hand it never moves. It's just to his left or his side. The other arm will move as he walks. You know, when you walk, how you will propel yourself by virtue of waving your arms. One arm stays stiff. One arm moved. And supposedly, they said, somebody suggested maybe there was years with the KGB or something when they had a weapon or firearm. But watch that one.
Huh. I will. I absolutely will.
Did you see the picture of President Trump in the Situation Room with the red hat? With the Make America Great Again? With a suit and the red hat. Yeah. Now listen, I love that man. Don't get me wrong, but come on. Come on. The red hat that says Make America Great as you're ordering whatever you're ordering. I mean, normally it's like the hat inside. You're not supposed to wear a hat inside, but in the Situation Room. And here's one for you, and I want you to listen to me carefully. There was a picture years ago, and I'm telling you, nobody got this. It was supposedly, or as some people say, supposedly, when bin Laden was killed, a story which I've never believed at all, period, ever. 9 different Navy SEALs killed him and wrote books about how they were the last person to kill him. But in any event, there was a Situation Room. And there was, Obama had a little jacket on. He was in the back. And they had Biden was there. And Hillary was either smelling her hand or looking shocked. Her hand was up to her mouth. And Leon Panetta, listen to this. Leon Panetta let the cat out of the bag. You can look it up. He says, you know that scene when we were in the Situation Room, apparently seeing the last moments of Osama bin Laden as he, and I always say Barack Obama, I don't know why I get the two confused, but the last moments of UBL, as they call them. That last moment. Remember that? Yes, we saw it. And Hillary's smelling her hand or looking aghast or shocked. Well, it turns out the helmet cams were down. We couldn't see anything. And that was a bunch of people pretending to react. It was down. It was fake. It never happened. And Panetta said it as clear as day, but nobody picked up on it. I'm sorry.
I'm trying not to swear. I was calling.
You're trying
to
not to swear? Is this a problem that you have?
It is.
Okay.
Is
it coprolalia?
I've been asking people, do you say I swear like a sailor, or do you say I swear like a truck driver? And overwhelmingly, it was
also
sailor,
drunk is a sailor. Drunk sailors are drunk and swearing.
And hopefully, the truck driver is not.
I like the way you amuse yourself, which I find. By the way, coprolalia is defined as the involuntary and repetitive use of obscene or socially inappropriate language. It's often misunderstood, and it's coprolalia from the Greek kopros or feces and lalia speech, the uncontrollable utterance of curse words. About 10 to 15% of people have Tourette's, but there's other forms of neurological disorders. So just remember this. Coprolalia. And I want you to have I want to have a group of people meeting to discuss it. What does you want to be a group of a coprolalia people meeting? You have a group of people together and they're meeting and somehow the meeting is late. So all these people are angry at the coprolalia meeting where people are yelling obscenities, but they're late.
You're so effing late.
Yes, but exactly. And you just hear the anger of this. And I think we should have, because of various ADA, I think we should have radio stations that specifically hire people who have this. Now, I'm not trying to make fun of this, of people with this. I've never known anybody who's had it. But of all the problems, of all the things, I'm sorry, Amy, you have coprolalia. There are about 3 people in the country who have it. You're one of them. Years ago, there was a story. There was a documentary I saw. It was on PBS. It was one of the most fascinating. It's about Tourette's. Again, I'm not making fun of this. People are going to say, you're cruel. I'm not cruel. It's called Twitch and Shout. I'm not kidding you. And it was one of the most interesting subjects you could imagine. Absolutely fast. I like Witzelsucht. This is a neurological disorder where people will make inappropriate puns and jokes and the like. That's what I would want to dedicate my life to addressing this and finding out why people do that. I'm sorry.
Oh, my dad might have that affliction. Hey,
how old is your dad?
84.
What's that mean? Has he always been like that? What if he's just filthy?
Oh yeah, he's got problems with his sense of humor. I was calling to tell you about meeting a celebrity who's.
I like when people say, "I was calling." You mean you were? What about now?
Well,
I was calling, but not anymore. Go ahead.
Well, because I wanted to tell you my Tourette story instead, maybe.
Well, you know what? I don't want people. I know people are going to get upset. They're going to say I'm making fun of it. I'm not making fun of it. Is there anything else we can talk about other than diseases, other than neurological diseases? Anything else?
It's as simple as this.
You're going to do it. You're going to slide that one in, aren't you? I told you I don't want to talk about it. You're going to say, "Well, let me." No, but it's a very simple.
I'm not going to make fun of anybody. You're going to love it. You're going to love it. I was at O'Hare Airport waiting for a flight, and I went to the airport bar, and I'm just watching whatever's on the TV screen in front of me, but not really. And it happened to be, some show had a segment about Tourette syndrome. And it's the airport bar, and this guy walks up, sits down right next to me, and says, "Oh, you must be here for the same reason I am." And I thought he meant waiting for a plane.
You mean drinking? You're there for me.
He meant what? He meant he was sitting there to see specifically the segment about Tourette syndrome.
Wait a minute. He showed up at an airport bar.
Yes.
In order to see, he knew it was going to be on, and rather than watch at home, he said, "I got a better one. I'm going to go to an airport bar and watch this. Buy a ticket to get past security so I can watch this." And you expect us to believe that story?
And maybe somebody else will be there with the same purpose.
And somebody else might believe your cockamamie story too, which is a story about some floozy who hangs around getting drunk at the airport. those days are over with. As you know, Blaze, I watch a lot of YouTube, and there's a lot of bad stuff that happens on on airplanes when it comes to being drunk. Because there was a time in the old days when you could go out and get waxed out of your mind, and they thought nothing of it. Nobody ever acted up though. Nobody ever acted up. There's something about, and there's also something about drinking, and I don't recommend this, but in the old days, you could drink yourself silly, but as long as it was a Bloody Mary, not a screwdriver. Screwdrivers say that's no good, even though there's orange juice. But Bloody Mary, oh, that's okay. Are you drinking? It's a Bloody Mary. Oh, okay. Do you ever hear friends? Listen, Dave, I think you drink too much. It's wine. Oh, excuse me. I stand corrected. Because there's all this wonderful, the ways we get ourselves. My sister years ago, well, she saw this, but she was involved in years of working with people with alcohol problems and whatever. And she said, I said, well, what are some of the questions that you ask? The assessments. And she said, well, one of them is, do you ever plan your drinking? You ever do that? Do you ever plan your drinking? I was like, well, yeah. What? Well, I would say, hey, you want to have a drink now? You know what? I can't now. Why? I'm working. How about if we meet after work? See, that's called planning. It's called responsible. That's not what I mean. Well, what do you mean? Another one, too, is, do you ever drink alone? And I said, only when no one's there, which I think was very funny. But there's these wonderful, these tests. So, years ago when I passed that on to a friend of mine who was he was the Babe Ruth of alcoholic. I'm sorry. And he'd tell you. See, because he thought, somebody told him, the problem with a lot of people who have very serious problems is that they won't admit to it. So he says, oh, I'll admit to it. Oh, no, he goes, no, that's not. He goes, no. Oh, no, I'm an alcoholic. Absolutely. And his wife took him to Al-Anon, and he said, oh, no, she's right. I am bad. He said, it's not just admitting it. You have to stop it. He goes, now that's a different story. I thought you wanted me just to admit it. So anyway, he told me, he said, well, I'll tell you the best test. Do you ever hide your bottles? Do you ever have a bag of so many glass bottles that you're embarrassed when the garbage man comes and he drops it and it sounds like some glass factory exploded? Why am I talking about this? I have no idea. Let's go. Oh, this should be good. Tom in the Bronx. You're on the other side of midnight with Lionel.
Lionel, before I get to my main reason for my call, I was 7 years old when I heard that our hero, Superman, had committed suicide.
Wow.
And one of the kids says, well, he did it because he realized he couldn't fly.
That's what I
never
heard.
Forgot this kid. Yes. Now, the other thing was the Marlon Brando Lookalike Association. It's really the National Association of Marlon Brando Lookalikes, which is NAMBLA. And on this episode I was just watching they went after them because they were having a domain name fight.
You are kidding me.
Well, it was South Park.
I know. That is so. Do you know that that NAMBLA, the North American Man-Boy Love Association, right? This was, I'm convinced, started by talk radio hosts in order to have something to say whenever there was nothing that struck home. And I said, so what is this about? Well, it's a group of people, and they advocate. Changing the laws or changing the consent laws between men and boys, whatever. And I said one time on the air, aside from that fact, what's wrong with advocating anything? Anything. I mean, you might find it reprehensible. You might hate it. You might think it's terrible. Just like years ago, there was a group called Normal. Remember Keith Stroop? The National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws. Remember that? Okay. So
I remember.
So is that against the law to advocate something? Well, put it this way. They didn't like what I had to say. Because even then, in my nascent period as a talk radio host, I said, you know what? A thought has no bearing whatsoever on anything. I will say only one thing about Iran, only one about the president. He gave as one of his reasons, and this is all I will say, one of the reasons why he thought that taking his particular military action was warranted was because, quote, Iran said death to America. Now,
a million times.
Now,
right. Sooner or later, someone keeps telling me they're going to hurt me. I'm going to have to punch him in the face.
Well, no, they're just saying this. They're just saying it. Now, a lot of other...
That's called ideation, isn't that where they...
Yes, right, exactly. Now, we say terrible things all the time about
I got arrested for it.
Now, think about this. Who are they? Hello? Yes. Are you saying death to America? Who? You. I didn't. No. They. Who? Iran. The country? No. They
the
said it.
Leader.
You said, okay, what else? That's it? I was kidding. That doesn't matter. Do you understand that the reason for Pearl Harbor, what did it? They attacked us. World War II, maybe the Gleivis incident, maybe Hitler, invading Poland. Iran, somebody said something. I'm sorry. If you cannot hear immediately the insanity of somebody suggesting I am risking international, world, global, nuclear conflagration based upon somebody said something? You hurt my feelings? I'll show you. You better take that back. I'm not going to take that back. Okay. Well, I look to the sky, look to the south. Here we go. Nobody anywhere. And I swear to you, I said, this is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. And sure enough, the other day, I happened to be someplace somebody had on Fox News. I said, oh, God. So I had to listen to this. And sure enough, somebody said, well, after all, they said death to America. I said, oh, no, not again. So I said, they said that? He goes, yeah. Wait. They said it. Forget the other reason, but the development of nuclear. No. They just said something. Well, Macron said some pretty nasty stuff about us, too. France did. What? Yeah, he said some pretty nasty stuff. Well, yeah, but. And, Georgia Maloney, she was a little drunk. She was a little pissed one time, and she said some nasty things about Spain. Do you sometimes things are so clear to me. And yet, when I told people this, they looked at me and they go, well, what are you talking about? I said, you've been watching Jesse Waters too long. This is insanity. What are you talking about? I'm not saying if that's your reason, this is not a good reason because somebody said something. You can't even hit somebody. I can't even hit you. Yeah, you know what Riff Raff said? He said you were a jerk. Why you? There's no such thing as fighting words, even among civilians. And I try explaining this, and that's why I said, and I just violated my own rule. When it comes to this stuff, nobody knows anything about rational thought. Nobody knows anything. And I also want to say one more thing, and please don't take this the wrong way. Do you remember in the old days? Maybe you don't. I'm going to do it now. Blaze, you remember in the old days when you would see a picture of somebody? Maybe it was in the back of comics, and they had it was for invisible, the glasses where you could see through a woman's dress. They had this guy, and they drew it, and you saw the shape of a woman, or they said, this zit cream works because they have pictures of pimples, and then the pimples are gone. Or track 3, this Gillette blade works. They show a whisker bending back, and then the second blade comes in and cuts it right at the base. It's a graphic depiction of a whisker that the first blade bends it over, and the second blade comes in, and you know it works. Okay. I want to say this very nicely. Seeing a graphic of a B2, 52, any kind of dropping a bunker buster is not the same as seeing evidence of it ever occurring. Now, I don't want to break this to you. I don't want to be a killjoy. But just because somebody says, well, there it is, that's how that works. That's pretty cool. There it is. There's a graphic. And there the Bombay doors up. And that's it. That is not evidence of anything. Just like the sketch of the Warren Commission of where Kennedy was hit, that wasn't it. I'm sorry to tell you this. I hate to bring this to your attention, but sometimes you got to realize that certain things that we accept as true. Oh, one more thing. How many times have you seen this? Oh my God, look at this. Did you see this? Oh my God, look at this. Whatever the particular war cover. Could be anything. Well, you know what? Yeah, this is 10 years old. Yeah, this is Greece. What? They keep recycling the same, and nobody checks this. Nobody cares. Nobody. One time we had I like to get things wrong as a joke. We had a group of people. I was in a fraternity years ago, and we didn't do anything. We drank. We didn't do anything, but it was nice. We said, listen, we have to do something. We have to do something because we're going to lose our charter. We have to do something philanthropic. So we had this Sunday meeting, and the guy from the Jerry Lewis Muscular Dystrophy, the dance-a-thon, it was a dance-a-thon they wanted to do. So we had a few cocktails. It was, whatever it was, which is why we were there in the first place. So this fellow says, thank you, gentlemen. I appreciate it. We're going to have a dance-a-thon, which you'd be a part of, 24-hour dance-a-thon, and it's going to be great. And I raised my hand. I said, hey, that's not funny. I said, these kids can barely walk, much less dance for 24 hours. You sick son of a... No, you're dancing. I said, oh, well, that's different. And I thought, to me, that was not that I'm joking about, crippled children, but the idea that I could get the story wrong like that. Nobody understood it. Nobody got the joke. You know what? And you know what? After listening to tonight's show, nothing's changed. I don't know why. And we keep turning to each other and we say, was this really that good? Was this really that good? I mean, it's okay. The whole Uncle Junior and it's just he has a Bialy and they were in this strip club and they're outside talking in a strip club and they have bikinis on. It's like, what is this? That's why they're not making any money. But there's no, they have you ever noticed in a bar, the bar is so quiet. They're talking to each other, whispering, what do you think, Tone? I don't know, T. What do you think, T? I don't know, Michael. Because he had that nasally, whatever. And I thought, this is the quietest disco strip club ever. You can hear people talk. Makes no sense, whatever. And it really wasn't that good. It's one of those things where you think, is that really that great? Maybe at the time it was. It was 20 years ago plus. And I appreciate what they've done. And I appreciate that. But now it's just, and all of the people with speech impediments in that movie, I swear to God, have you ever heard David Chase ever speak? David Chase is the most boring individual anybody's ever. David Chase, I'd rather hear Robbie Krieger talk about the Doors for the umpteenth time than hear David Chase trying to put together why people like the Sopranos. Well, it's because of the humanity. No, it's not. It's because people whacking each other. We want to see people killed. We didn't care about that. We didn't care about Olivia, the mother. We want to see people killed. We want to see people choking. And by the way, one more thing. Just as an aside, if you're going to have somebody being choked, do yourself a favor. Talk to a medical examiner. Talk to somebody who knows about this. If I put ligature around your throat, okay, and I start squeezing, you're going to just pass out. You're not going to say, get the thing off you, I can't think. No, doesn't work like that. It's once the carotids are compressed, you pass out. It's called a sleeper. But when I see this on TV, it drives me crazy. One more thing on TV. Maybe you don't see this anymore. Remember the old days when they would show what a binoculars looks like? You see that figure eight kind of a thing? It doesn't look like that. It looks like a... Why do they do that? But that's to let you know this is the binoculars. See, I wonder about this. And you're probably thinking, why bring this up now? Why are you bringing this up now? Why? Oh, look at this. Oh, look at this. Josh says, disagree with you on not attacking based off threats. Oh, my God. Sorry. Not interested. Sorry, Josh. Hey, no hard feelings, right? Okay. If I have to tell you that you're going to say one day, hey, you know why your dad was killed in war? Why? Because those bad people said something bad. No. If we have devolved into this, you've just proved my point. My God. Casus Belli saying bad things? Nah. More coming up on the other side of midnight with Lionel. That everybody else says, whoa, what? Oh, no, you got to believe that. Really? What do you not believe in? What does that even mean? You believe. To me, if I believe, when I say I believe, that means I know. See, when I say I believe that George Washington is dead, no, I know he's dead. I know it. I know it as a matter of fact for a variety of reasons. I know that to be true. And I don't believe in astrology, but there could be something to it. I don't believe in the French language because I don't really understand it. But I'm not saying it doesn't exist. But I don't believe in anything. I'm not even sure what I even know. I'm not sure what I know to be true. Isn't that something? And the older I think I get, the more I appreciate the fact that we have been trained for so long to just believe things. Because I'm telling you this. And Americans also believe that the more people repeat something, the more it's likely to be true because you're repeating it. Because after all these people can't be wrong if all these people are thinking it, right? Right? Well, that'll get you in some trouble. Same thing when people say, you're crazy if you think that somehow the government or somebody knew about this. Do you know how difficult it will be to have all these people keep their mouths shut? Which is one of my favorite examples. I love this has nothing to do with logic. It's more like, do you understand that this has to be true? Because there is no way. I mean, after all, there must be something to the folks who deny UFOs. Because after all, if there were UFOs, do you know how hard it would be to keep people quiet? Don't you love this? And people say this, and they repeat in unison. And nobody stops and says, wait a minute, what? What did we say? What? Oh, no. You see, in America, I can't speak for other countries, I don't know. But in America, the thing you don't ever want to do is to insult or offend anyone. And if your incredulity, if your disbelief in some way disputes a particular narrative, oh, no. We don't like that. Why? Because you're a heretic. You're some type of a weird naysayer. You're a denier of truth. We don't like that. We don't appreciate that. What I'm telling you is simply this. Ask yourself this question. Ontologically speaking, how do you know what you know? What do you believe in? Who's telling you the truth? What is the truth? What is a lie? Oh, my God. This is one of my favorite subjects. What is a lie? When you say, so-and-so's no good, he's a liar. Well, define it. Not telling the truth? Not really. There was a case years ago, an appellate case I read, and it dealt with prosecutorial misconduct. And the issue was whether the prosecutor was incorrect by calling somebody a liar. And the court, I'll never forget, defined a lie as a misrepresentation of fact with the intent to deceive. That was it. That was it. The misrepresentation of fact with the intent to deceive. And I said, well, let's go a little further, shall we? If I misrepresent fact and I want to deceive because I don't want to hurt your feelings, how do I look? You look great. Do you like this haircut? I love it. Do you like this dress? I love it. And if you hate it, yes, I'm misrepresenting fact. And I want to deceive. I want to cause a deception, but the deception is good. It's to spare you. It's to be nice. It's to be diplomatic. So let me go back. What is a lie? What if 90% of it is true? Is it still a lie? How much of a lie can something be before you say, all right, that's enough? All of these wonderful facts you put into account and take into account, and I love it. And that's why at my particular point in my life, I don't believe anything. Anything. I will listen to you. I will understand what you're saying. I will recognize and acknowledge what you believe to be true, but I am not going to necessarily accept it. And even if I do accept it, what do I know? I have been lied to my whole life, my friends. I'm lied to constantly. Life is nothing but one deception after another. A lot of times not necessarily, evil, but just, the truth. We're so, we just make stuff up. We just say things and we repeat things. That's all. I just wanted to give you just a little bit of that because I was just thinking how much, I'm not going to tell you, but I heard a commercial, which was just balder, not here, but I was thinking before, but I was going to my various TV channels. It's balderdash. And I'm being kind with that. Dick is calling in New Jersey. Dick, you're on the other side of midnight with Lionel.
Hey, Lionel, a couple movies. I love where the roles are reversed. Lena Wertmüller, Swept Away, and Seven Beauties. Are you familiar with those two movies?
Swept Away?
And Seven Beauties.
Well, which Swept Away was it? You're talking about Lena Wertmüller. That's the 74 version. You don't mean the Guy Ritchie Madonna
No.
version.
Marcello Mastroianni was in it. Marcello, I think he was in both of those. Mm-hmm. Well, the one when he was interned in a concentration camp in Italy, there was a woman, Aryan woman, would come out every day that would be lined up, and she would nod to one of her guards to shoot somebody.
I think you mean Giancarlo Giannini.
That's it.
Okay.
I get So she would mention to a guard to shoot somebody every day.
Mm-hmm.
And so he said, I know she's going to get me. I know it. So he climbed out of the barracks one night, and he finds the woman, and he wants to make love to her.
Mm-hmm.
But he's emaciated, so she throws a piece of steak on the ground, eats it, gets his strength back, and he does the deed. He goes, you think I'm the bad guy? I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you the gun, and tomorrow you're going to shoot the person, or I'm going to shoot you. Mm-hmm. So he goes back to the barracks, and he tells his friends there, and one friend says, no, you got to kill me. I can't take another day of this, please. Mm-hmm. I'm sick. I'm dying. So the next day, he shoots his buddy, and at the end of the movie, he's back wearing his fedora, walking down the street like nothing happened. Mm-hmm. And like the Swept Away was the same thing with he was.
But what did that tell you? What was the purpose of that?
The purpose is you never know what you're capable of in a situation. How the situations could change, and what you think you will never do, you may do.
Oh, absolutely! I'm so glad you said that. Not only that, how people can justify what they do. Remember the Milgram experiment in 1960? The Milgram experiment, the shock where they shocked people to see how much they would. They took people off the street and they contrived this phony experiment where some people off the street thought they were administering shocks, painful shocks to complete strangers, sometimes to the point where people weren't even responding, indicating that they might have been perhaps unconscious or whatever. People are able to do the most horrible of things. Here's another one, too. I love the fact that people say, we are good. You've heard this, right, Dick? We are good. Yeah. People go, no, we're not. The definition of good is somebody who's not bad. Somebody who doesn't do anything bad. There's nothing exceptionally good about people. Nothing. We will kill people. We will destroy people. We can systematically destroy the humanity of anybody once we collectively in a scrum say, you are no good. You're the bad guy. You must be removed. And we'll do it. And yet we will point fingers at other people, at other cultures, at other periods of time. Everything that has been done since day one, you're capable of doing it yourself. Absolutely.
There was another one where
there we go. I like that segue. It's another movie I saw.
No, it was an experiment where they took people, they made them the guards, and they made some the prisoners.
It was the Stanford prison experiment, 1970.
Yeah. And how they started abusing these prisoners for no reason.
Well, look at Abu Ghraib. Look at Lindy England. Remember that one? Look at this. This is the point which is the most important. I love the fact of relative morality. For example, Paul Tibbets, the Enola Gay, dropped two atom bombs on Japanese. And we laud him as a hero. Hero! Absolutely, without a doubt. The temerity, the intrepidity, the genius, the precision. We did this. From the viewpoint of the Japanese, they would think a little bit differently. They would say, we didn't do anything. Why are you doing this to us? You used mass incineration. Actually, there were more people killed during the Doolittle's torching of Tokyo. But it doesn't matter. But from our point of view, it doesn't matter. We were right. So be it. That's tough. You should have done something. Too bad you were born there. Too bad you fell into that regime. You know, if you had the wherewithal, you could have voted these people out of office or whatever it was that you could have done. But we say, it was a bigger deal. Had to do it. Had to do it. Had to get done with it. Had to be done because this is the way it goes and that's the way it happens. And that's the way that is. And we're not gonna lament the fact. We're not gonna talk about this. That's just the way it goes. Vietnam. Oh my God. Do you remember all the folks during Vietnam? America, love it or leave it. This is the most important. We're gonna stop communism and communism, and because it's the domino effect. And if we don't stop communism, the communists. Oh my God! Don't you know what the communists have said? Well, the communists did this. And 55 whatever thousand Americans killed because of some threat that communism in Vietnam would somehow go to Cleveland. Remember that one? And if you didn't believe this, if you didn't walk in lockstep, if you did not believe everything that was said, you were un-American. You hated your country. You hated everybody. You were sick. You were some lefty pinko hippie. And then all of a sudden, somebody said, nah, that's it. And then it became okay. And then we said, this is a stupid war. And then it was dumb. And then the music reflected it. And then we said, you know what? We changed our mind. Facts didn't change. Our perception changed. Well, why is that? I don't know. What changed? I don't know. I have no idea. But I realized at the time then, you can tell somebody anything. You can tell people anything. And there's this wonderful, wonderful concept, and I want you to think about this. It's Gustave Le Bon, and it's crowd psychology. And I've always loved the way people think in unison. And I've always liked not so much animals as much as aggregations of animals, schools of fish, a warren of foxes, it was a murder of crows, and you would see these things called starlings. And starlings would fly in these beautiful movements. You've seen them, these wonderful, they look like ink blots flying. They call them murmurations. And they fly in these huge swaths, these big groups, in order to conserve energy and also to appear larger and more formidable to any kind of predator. And it's just, and each one never flew off. They flew in complete and total synchrony. And I loved it. And I still love it. And that's who we are. We act en masse. We act in unison. We act in lockstep. Depending upon our group and depending upon our particular persuasion. And if you want to be this group or watch this channel or be a member of this party, you must be given the list of things you will believe and you will say and you will repeat. And if you don't, you will lose your membership card and your decoder ring. See how that works? And you know what? After all the years that I've seen this, nothing ever changes. Do you ever watch these shows on YouTube? YouTube is the greatest thing in the world. YouTube, by the way, and also old TV on Fuse or Cheese TV or whatever I'm watching in here, networks or channels I never heard of. But have you ever watched these homeless channels where they talk to these poor, pathetic people? Well, I'm trying to get myself together and and then you see them just degrade. You see the meth face. You see Kensington, Pennsylvania, like outside of Philly. He's horrible. Don't you feel sometimes that, am I depraved? Am I watching this because I want to learn the plight of these people? Or am I watching it because it's ghoulish? I'm looking at an accident. I want to see these people's lives destroyed to make myself feel better. No, I'm dead serious. I wonder, and how much of what we do is preying upon this thing? However, the other part of me says, but as long as you find it interesting, maybe that's a reason. Maybe that's in and of itself. When the internet first started, there was these things called gore. Horrible. And you can see it now big time on the internet. And there's something about it that's interesting. People say, oh, that's disgusting. You don't want to see pictures of people who are, doing gory, whatever. Well, is there something wrong with that? Is there something wrong with that? If you find something interesting, I remember as a prosecutor, when first time I got a hold of murder photos, and I thought, wow, here's something you don't see. It's not that I found it delightful. I found it interesting. Think of this show like that. You find yourself thinking, am I extolling the virtues of these poor, pathetic people who call up? Am I exploiting them? The answer is yes. That's what we do. I kid, of course, partly. Tom in Yonkers. Tom's talking to himself. Tom, you're on the line on the other side of Midnight Show. Tom, you talking to somebody else?
Lionel. Yeah, I'm talking to my wife. How you doing?
Why are you talking to your wife?
I don't know. I have to do those things sometimes.
Yes, you have to feign interest. Is that what you're saying?
Anyway. Exactly. Yes.
Talk to me.
So you were talking before about the weather forecasters. So do you ever notice, like, when you want to watch the weather, they drag it out for like three segments?
Oh yeah.
Like they'll do one at 5 after, quarter after, 5:30. Then you have to wait till like a quarter to 6.
Yes.
To find out what's going on. So
and why do you think that is?
The ratings.
No, not the ratings to sell the spot. What they do is you always want to have something. For example, if you have if you have a TV show and you have a weather part, you're going to sell that particular segment to, let's say, remember like PC Richards or somebody that sells, air conditioning or whatever it is. And in order for them to buy that spot, you've got to tease the audience so people are watching. If you give them the information right off the bat, they're going to go elsewhere. It's all about selling you stuff. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it, too. By the way, there's nothing wrong with that. But here is a question I'm saying. In the year 2025, we're doing weather on TV? Weather? We still have the idea of do you realize, Tom, that the framework of the desk is still on? That's Dave Garroway. What is this? I mean, why do we get away from that? And why can't we have two white people, two white males? Is that impossible? Is that against the law?
Have you seen?
I like the way you feign amusement. No, sir. I like the way you went, that's good. I like that. You're trying to humor me. You're placating me. And I appreciate that. Don't get me wrong. Tom, enough about me. Enough about
studios.
Tom, enough about me.
Modern studios.
Fine, Tom, stop. I'm going to talk about you. What are you doing up right now at 3:30, and why are you talking to your wife, and why are you awake? What's the matter with you?
It's a little too hot.
There's this thing called air conditioning. You ever hear about that? Maybe a fan?
Yes.
Do you ever think about that?
Yes, we have fans.
Okay, you have fans, and do you ever think about using the fans?
We have the fans on.
So you're up because it's hot?
We just stay up. We tend to stay up late, so.
You stay up late. At what time do you normally get up? When does your day begin?
Let's see, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock.
And what do you do? Are you retired? Or you've given up on life or what?
We're both retired. We're both retired.
So that's it? That's your life? You get up at 9 and what do you do? What do you do during the day?
Lots of exciting things. Run errands, go to the bank.
Go to the bank? I would slit my wrist if that was my life. I'm serious. I wouldn't know what to do.
We don't do online banking. We don't trust it. So
you don't do online banking? What, do you have all the millions of dollars? You got the millions and millions? Banks do online banking. Everybody does online banking. You're going to go into do you have a checkbook? Do you?
Yes, we use checks.
You write a check and you put it in an envelope with a stamp?
Yes.
Oh, my God. And then you got to wait for it to clear. You ever hear of FDIC? I mean, do you think, what do you think is going to happen if you go online and you, let's say, pay your cable bill with an online or with a debit or an automatic debit? What do you think is going to happen?
I don't know. It's, we're older people.
How
we're
old are you?
Used to doing it that way. So I'm 65.
I'm older than you. What's the matter with you? 65. You act like you realize, I mean, your life's over. You and your wife right now, you're not even asleep because it's hot. I don't understand this. You get up at 9, you're going to go to the bank. This is horrible.
If I wanted to be insulted, I could have listened to my wife.
No, but I'm serious. Tom, did you ever think to yourself when you were young, did you figure this is the way you're going to end up the rest of your life? Getting up, doing errands? You're sweating in the middle of the night because, how do you turn the fan on? No, we don't believe in fans. I don't believe in fans because, the fans, that's a communist plot. They have a nice Woozoo. I bought a Woozoo at a Costco. Best thing I ever bought. I bought 2 of them. A Woozoo. You know what that is? It's like the drip, but not as painful. I'm kidding. Woozoo is a little fan. You put it on yourself, and I hit that 3 levels, and I swear to you, I'm under the covers. It could be 105 outside, but you point that fan at you, and you're in business. Okay. I want to party with you, Tom. I want to party with you, seriously.
All right.
You are wild. Hey, honey, I'm going to go to the bank. Better get some more of those stamps. Get those forever stamps, honey. Why? How much? I don't know. Oh, damn it. We got another bill here. Got to pay that cable. Honey, we're out of checks. Can I use your checkbook? We're out of that too? Oh, yeah. Maybe I should. I could order some checks online, but I don't trust the bank. No, I'm gonna go to the bank. I'm gonna go and maybe they have a coffee or orange juice. What time is it? It's 12 o'clock. Oh my God. What do we do now? Well, we could watch TV. No, I don't watch TV. Want to turn the fan on? No. Want to pay some bills? No. I don't trust. I think that is so demented. It's 30, by the way, it's 30 past the hour. 32 past the hour. At 32. I got so into that I forgot where I was. Forgive me, I was drifting off. You have no idea how that drives me crazy. I don't have that newfangled online banking. I don't trust them. I can see the Chinese thing. Listen, I can do a Chinese voice. Somebody get mad at me. I'll do a Russian. We have to get that hold of Tom. Tom does not like banking because the KGB will find out Tom will get into your life. So wait, the moment that Tom goes online, we'll take him. Everything. We'll take him. We'll clear out everything in his life. Do me a favor. I don't have a bucket list. This is a shoot me list. If you ever see me sound like that, well, I get up and I don't know, go to the bank and do errands. Shoot me. Do me a favor. I'll consent to it. I want to spend the rest of my life doing exciting things and thinking and online and broadcasting and writing and thinking and I'm just barely learning what I need to know in life as a human being. I'm learning new things every single day. Oh, we can go to the bank. Want to go to the Costco? No, I don't trust that Costco. Oh, you go in there and you got to have that checkout thing. I like to go to the A&P with a woman who had that machine. She would push that little thing, and her name was Marge, and she knew the price of everything. I don't like that UPC newfangled stuff. Next thing you know, we're going to be. I don't like those debit cards either. No, I like cash. I walk around with about $1,200 in my my pocket all the time. I don't believe in that. Forget it. I don't like this. Dear God. Dear God. We're relative contemporaries. Here I am embracing this new aspect of everything fantastic. I mean, the AI. Can you imagine explaining AI to Tom? Or ChatGPT or God knows what? Or whether AI ever has any kind of consciousness? Whether mentions singularity? Oh, dear. What are you talking about? Tom, singularity, alignment. What? I don't have the heart to break it. Tom, sit down. What? There's this thing right now where artificial intelligence. Oh, is that like a checkbook? Oh, no, it's a little bit more involved than that. You see, this is a bot. Basically, this is something that actually learns itself. You see, there's a number of aspects to it. First of all, you have recursive self-improvement. What? It writes its own code. Who writes a code? It writes a code. Who's it? The bot. What? What? Wow. What are those stamps? I don't like licking those stamps either, because I don't know what I'm licking. I like a nice self-adhesive. Give me a nice forever stamp. I had to write a check the other day. I had to find out, where is it? Do you know where your checkbook is? Is it somewhere? Is it somewhere? I guess. Is this a check? I guess it is. And you ever write, how do you do this again? You write this thing on, and then you realize, first of all, I can't write. I got these, my hand looks like it's been in a fire, hold the pen. There are people who write with pens in orifices that write better. And I used to have such great penmanship when I was a kid, but I don't write anymore. And that I admit. Well, I don't trust those newfangled computers. Well, next thing, in a weird way, sometimes I think people have to realize that maybe they're right about privacy, but that's not what this was. You were.
Do you think he has a computer?
No. Oh, maybe.
Or a cell phone, or a smartphone. I don't get that either. I just don't. Technology moves on. It's almost like saying, I'm not going to get into one of them fancy new cars. I'm going to get on my horse.
Right, but he's on a phone and he's talking, and we're kind of. I've had the hardest time to say, hey, you can hear it. Well, I don't live in New York. Well, we have an app. What? An app. Well, I get it. No, it's not an antenna. It's an app. An application, an app for the phone. What? It's better to have an app. You can hear better. Here in New York City, whatever it's worth, forget trying to get drive around on an antenna. I can't get anything. Nothing. Because of the buildings and.
Yeah, sometimes people will call and will say, we'll use the app, and they go, oh, I don't use the computer or smart. They say it's so condescending, like how dare you tell me to go to an app?
It's the best, it's the clearest thing. And what's also great, too, is sometimes you hear commercials that they don't run during the regular hours. And you hear commercials online, think, oh, my God, still diseases that 4 people have. The stuff that you can't sell, but I appreciate that. But there's also this notion of people being proud of it. And I don't think you should put it this way. I'm always telling people that you got to be very, very careful about technology, because I'm seeing things, especially when it comes to, by the way, when Snap and Snap and Saturn, because my wife does all the working with trying to combat child predation. It's horrible. Forget trying to explain this to people. I was trying to explain the problem that I had with, Palantir. Oh, God. Palantir, the big problem is that this is a weapons guiding system, a weapons system in which Peter Thiel and others are using AI and AI algorithms in order to target people for warfare. Good luck with this. Imagine me explaining to this guy about that. What are you talking about? There was a time, and I know you remember this, and poor Riff Raff, he doesn't know. Poor guy, 10 years old. But there was when cable news started, not cable news, cable. And I grew up in Florida, and they said, because we had antennas. You didn't want an antenna because, why? Lightning hits it and it burns out your color TV. So we said, guess what? There's a thing called cable. Well, I don't know about that. What's cable? What does that mean? Well, you get a box. Huh? It goes on top, and remember the cable, you had to use the knob and to put it channel 3, and then you do this. And then what's this? It's a clicker. It's a what? It's a remote control. I already got a remote control. No, this is its own remote control. All right, fine. And then you saw the picture and you thought, oh my God, this is the most incredible thing in the oh my God. You didn't got to pay for that. It's worth every penny. So you went from no way to, of course, we're going to pay for it. Same thing with podcasting, paywalls. People fought it at first. They fought it. And then it just went through this. I remember when my parents, they had a hard time understanding it at first. My mother, bless her heart, sometimes on voicemail, I'd hear her say, pick it up. I said, this is voicemail. Yeah, I know. No. Pick it up. It's on a satellite. So you're asking the satellite. What? My father, I would say bless his heart. I don't do the old, God bless them, I don't know why people do. God bless their soul. Would you just say their name without stopping and blessing everybody's soul? I got it. Your parents, you love them. Just once. Just do it once. I knew a friend of mine also he knocks wood. Bless their heart. God rest his soul. Stop saying it. God rest ye, Mary. I understand it. You loved your parents. Just once will do. In any event, my father had his answering machine. So I used to call up sometime and do this. What the hell's the matter with this? I thought it was funny. And there was a little tape. Riff, you don't know this. There was a tape. A little micro cassette in your ear. And you flipped it up and you came on beep, beep. You have 25,000. And you go back and it's slow. I also have I have to have a landline because my phone doesn't work in the apartment. I have no idea why. So when I want to hear voicemail, it's like you dial the number in, hit your passcode. First call, Monday. Hurry up! 10:52 a.m. Okay, number 9. But it doesn't. Just play it. Quit telling me. Just play the damn thing. I'll worry about what time I came in later. And finally, you listen, like, oh God, you get rid of that one. So we have not perfected this. Here's another one too. I can't imagine living without GPS. I understand I'm being stalked. I understand. I get it. It's the most incredible thing in the world. And I get this all the time. If my wife, bless her heart, she'll say, can we take somebody? When I pick her up, she'll say, can we? And she'll be standing next to somebody. I say, I know I'm going to end up taking this person. You mind taking him? Of course. It's late. I don't know what's a woman or what. So I say, do me a favor. Give me your address. Let me just punch this in. No, it's just 65th. No. I know you say that, but I don't know what that means. And you're going to end up talking, and I'm going to have to keep saying, is it this one or is that? No. Just give me your number. Give me your address. And then you can keep talking and I'll get there. It works like a charm. And it will tell you sometimes, go this way. Somebody says, why are you going this way for? No. It trusts. But no, you should go. No. You're used to going that way. This has taken it takes in all this data, all this information. Trust me. And I trust GPS. And it's right. At first they would give you like the wrong, like you were driving and all of a sudden, like, what is this? It would stop or it would be a dead end or something. So I tell people, just give me your address and I'll put it in and it tells me, and you can continue talking. It's the greatest thing in the world. It tells me when there's a delay. It tells me alternate routes. It's the greatest thing in the world. How can you? And of course, yes. Oh, how about this one? Every now and then somebody will say, I don't like those easy pass. I want to play cash. I want to pay. There is no cash. They take a picture of your license. It doesn't matter. What? It doesn't matter. They track you, schmuck. They track you. Why do I want to pay? You can pay cash. Nobody to pay cash too.
They send you a bill in the mail.
Yeah.
If you don't have Easy Pass. Isn't it strange that we lived without GPS longer than we've had it, and we can't imagine not having it.
Exactly.
Or when we didn't have it, how did we get places?
How about this? Air conditioning. I grew up in Florida. We had no air conditioning. Didn't think about it. Had an attic fan. What is this thing? There's these new, I don't want to say fangled things. Have you ever gotten a speeding ticket? One of those car speeding tickets? They say, there's your car. You go, son of a. There you are. This angle, that angle. Okay, all right. How about sideways? How about a picture of your car going by with pedestrians looking shocked at your high speed? Okay, you're making no. Here's another picture. But it's not used. There's 0 points. But they say your car was seen speeding, but I didn't drive. It doesn't matter. Your car. But what if somebody stole my car? Would you charge me then? No. Well, maybe they did steal it. So this is your thing. Here it is on this day. It is so official. There it is. But how do I know I was speeding? Trust me. Okay. Under Waze, which was really, I think, Google Maps or whatever the heck it was, it tells you speed trap, speed trap, speed trap, speed trap. It tells you everything there is. It's the greatest thing in the world. And I'll bet you our friend from Yonkers says, oh, I don't want to do that. I like a nice map. Give me a nice triptych. I'm going to go to AAA and have them give me our tour. They basically would. Remember you go, and they would have this little thing with, and they would take a highlighter and fill in this, like, I can do that myself. I don't need you to do that. Well, here's 275 North. Yes, I see that. I'm going to take a highlighter. Yes, I know that. That was considered thanks. We'll go by AAA. What does AAA do? I have a friend of mine who works for AAA. I said, what do you do? For towing. Really? Do they? Every time you see any car you get, roadside towing. No matter, it's like one person who does it. So what is AAA? I'm sure they're great. I'm sure they're fantastic. But what do they do? The same thing with AARP. What does it do? Oh, you get Medicare later on, I guess. But what does it do? I don't know. But they'll find you. I'm sure our friend in Yonkers probably didn't like that one. How did they know we were here? Well, they'll find you. Do we have time for one more? Yes, go. Let's go to, let me show you this. Oh, here we go. Jay in Queens. Get a hold. This call is about my dog's vet stopping my lesbian dog. I don't know what the hell this means, but Jay.
Good morning. Good morning, Lionel.
No. Oh, God.
This veterinarian, I wanted to find out how he has certain procedures to find out whether my dog is a lesbian or not.
Okay. You know what? I got to tell you something, and I want you to understand something. And I'm glad we brought this up. I want to bring this to your attention. You know, I love calls that supplement the show. You know what I mean? They really, not people who think they can call me like they're calling, I don't want to say a friend, because I want you to think of me as a friend, but who call up just like, well, it's me again. And they call every other show and they figure, I'll just call and I'll say whatever I want to say because I'm a chronic. Like, I think it's my show. It's people want to hear me or whatever. And I want to address this. That call was interesting at first. I laughed at first because he was a driving instructor. Or people who call up and they refer to other calls they've made. And I'm thinking, we can't do that. And it's not to be mean. But it's like, you can't kill the show like that. Because we're tired of, because you know what happens. When these calls come in, there's a certain idea of how everything kind of slams to a, here we go. Here's Jay. This car will not stop. I'm saying it's going through barricades and it's hitting things, but it's continuing going. My favorite is the semi. There's got to be a way of telling somebody, listen to this and write me a story. There was something years ago called the I don't know if they still do it. It's called the TAT, the thematic apperception test. And you see a picture of something, and you see a picture of a guy walking in. He looks kind of forlorn, staring at the ground, and you say, "Well, here's what I think happened." And if you say, for example, this person just killed his family and he's embarrassed, it kind of tells you, like, wow, that's your perspective. So it's kind of like a Rorschach test. I'd like to take that particular sound and have somebody describe to me what is happening in this scene. Then I would overlay that with the Gia Giudice singing "Wake Up in the Morning," putting them
Waking
together.
up in the morning,
Yes.
thinking about
Yes.
so many things.
Yes.
I just wish things would get better. I'm trying to get rid of them.
Yeah. I love that. And I love the quiver and the vibrato. And also, why would they be subjecting this 10-year-old to decades and decades of laughter and derision and humiliation for the rest of her life? I'm sure, bless her heart, when she leaves this particular world, she's going to go to the next, and they're going to say, made famous for the waking up this morning visit. Okay, my friend. All right. Our number is 800-848-9222. We're going to return to the phones, and we're going to be talking to more people who may or may not be assisting the quality of the show, but nonetheless, in their own particular way, are adding something, whatever that means. And we thank you for being with us, and thank you for being a part of this show, this thing of ours. Our number is 800-848-9222. Let's go back at the phones, back to what I call the fun. And we have a variety of so many varied calls, which do not fit into any particular framework of discussion, any particular platform of consideration, and for obvious reasons. Bill on the Upper West Side, get ready, hang on. He's going to talk about the benefits of paper checks. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Talk to me, Bill.
Great. Nice to talk to you, Lionel. I actually have two checkbooks. One is just a regular checking account.
Wow.
If I owe the government tax money or Albany tax money, I would prefer that I am the one that gives it to them and that they don't pull it directly from my account. But the other one is something I learned in the Wall Street Journal, which I started reading about.
Wait, stop for a second. You can also direct you can just direct file or send it or whatever it is, ACQ or AQ or whatever it's called, and you can just send it. You're in charge of it.
You mean with a service like Zelle or something like that? Is it right? I use that, but
no, there's nothing. What is this magic about the paper? What do you think that accomplishes?
Well, the real reason I use paper is my second checkbook, which is from Charles Schwab. I itemize my tax, unlike most Americans, and I used to be entitled to a nice deduction for charitable contributions to decent organizations, and they cut that way back. And by reading the Wall Street Journal, which I started about 10 years ago when I could no longer stand the lying in the New York Times, their financial columnist recommended that if you want to get a nice use for your 401k interest and you're past, 63 or 65, it will be, if you don't take it as a kind of deduction, it will be tacked on to your regular income. You'll be bumped into a bracket very high. Your Medicare benefits will start costing you money. You won't get as big Social Security checks that you've paid for.
But irrespective of that has nothing to do with whether you use a check or whether
It does. Yes, it does, because of money coming directly from a 5013 to a 5013
C3,
organization, a decent nonprofit, a synagogue, a church, whatever. You cannot write them a check and use it as a deduction. The check must be taken from your required minimum distribution.
Oh my
from
God!
Your
okay, I just can't go through this anymore. I'm sorry. I know it's very. I know you're a good person. I know you're a good person, and I'm sorry. I don't want to be rude, but I swear to God, I was thinking to myself, if I jump out of the window here, am I high enough where I could do some damage? I defy anybody to tell me defy anybody to tell me why you can't send a check versus from your bank. That's all. And I'm sure that the reason which it's so obvious. I just have no interest in it. Peter in Hackensack, you're on the other side of midnight with Lionel.
Yeah, I love third shifters because I used to be a third shifter.
What is a third shifter?
Working overnight, like you're doing.
And this is called a third shifter. What's a first shifter?
Coming in around 6 in the morning and working till like 2.
And the second would be in the middle.
To do.
Yeah.
And then the third shifter is the latest. The people used to work at night.
No, I understand that. And the second shifter would be?
2 in the afternoon to like maybe 10 o'clock at night.
And you liked third shifting, as it were?
Oh, I've worked all shifts. I worked around the clock. And I love overnight.
And why?
Because you meet... Because I used to work in a grocery store.
Yes, you said that, yes.
And you get to meet all different people. Like,
That's true.
Just like you're talking all different people.
And you meet different people if you work at 2 in the afternoon. They're all new people, too.
Well, not really, because you see some things overnight that you would definitely
Dear
not
God,
see
what has happened?
in the daytime.
Everything was great, then all of a sudden...
Because
the guy with the checks
when people are
501c3.
shopping overnight,
and he seems like a nice
people were pretty cool, you know, and then some people might be a little, you know,
it was going great,
little strange, you know.
So I had such high hopes
because
for
when
this
I
show.
first
I
started
really did
working
today.
Overnight,
and I want to apologize. I mean,
we used to have to watch
it's
the
not
people
his problem. It's not
like
his
after
fault.
like 1 or 2 o'clock in the
God.
morning. We used to have to
no
watch
interest in
them
this.
shop.
How do
But
I get out of
we
this?
couldn't like walk behind them.
I could pretend there's
but
some
we
kind
had
of
to, like,
technical problem. We
observe
go,
them
we lost
just to
that
make
call.
sure they're not
But
shoplifting.
that's rude.
And
Or maybe I could fade him out.
And the
I think I'm
thing
gonna do
was now with new technology.
Okay. No.
You know,
I don't bless his heart. He's probably a good man. I'm wondering, it's like, do me a favor. The one guy who says, well, my wife and I'll do errands. And then between this, another guy with he likes a Wall Street Journal because the New York Times, he thinks a Wall Street Journal is legit. Wow. Ron in Michigan, Ron, please, help me. Help me. Ron, are you there, sir?
Lionel, can you hear me?
Do I fear you?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you.
I know you're real knowledgeable in music. I was just wondering if you ever heard the album The Soul of Vietnam.
Who was that, sir?
It's a compilation of a bunch of different black musicians, and they tell each song tells a story about Vietnam. One story's about heroin addiction, another one's about killing the enemy, another one's about a mother, talking about her son coming home with a hole in his arm from heroin addiction. It's a real good history of Vietnam protest, and there's also patriotic songs. I got up, I jumped up, I killed 3 more of the enemy for you. But
patriotic. Have you ever met anyone that gave his life, maybe even more, sometimes physical, and your position is, what was that about? What was that even about? What was the purpose of that? I don't even have the heart to say that. But if you were to ask somebody, it's not that it was his fault, but what was Vietnam about? What is war about? People think everything automatically is in this, I guess, this world of post-World War II where everything is terrific and everything is great and everything is warranted, and it's not. Let me ask you this question. Would you allow, not that if you could actually have a say over this, but if your child said to you, should I join the military? What would you say today? What would you honestly say?
That has happened to me. I have a son in uniform right now.
On our side? Just kidding.
Come on.
Thank you for getting the joke. A lot of people say, well, of course. What branch is he with?
Army.
Okay. What is it, MOS, or he's not infantry or anything, is he? Tell me he's cleric.
He's not cleric. He's logistics. He moves the tanks around. Like you saw the guys before the parade, getting the tanks off the trains and getting them all lined up and stuff like that.
Okay, well,
Make sure they're running.
Okay, that's good. But Marines? No way. No way. You know, when I hear these people, this is so interesting. There's a whole new band of online stuff. Sean Ryan and others. There's a guy, they call him, what is he called? The Shrek, and the mayor of Baghdad. And they talk, I was SEAL Team 6, and when I was there, and we did this, and I deployed, and I'm thinking to myself, what are you talking about? Listen, thank you, quote.
Hey, Lionel, hold on. I got drafted, okay, in 1969. Mm-hmm. And when we were in the induction station in Chicago, they had everybody line up, and they took their oath. And at that point, 3 Marines walked in, and they said, every fourth guy step forward. I knew what it was. They were going to be drafted into the Marines. Mm-hmm. And I didn't get picked, but I almost had to join the Marines in 1969. So you have a wonderful day, and it's really nice to hear you talking. And
I like the way he just said, you know what, I'm done with this call. This is my story. I'm done, and I'm finished, and I appreciate that. I'm going to say something right now, which, of course, people do not want to hear. One of the biggest myths ever is that I owe my ability to speak, to express myself, to enjoy the First Amendment because of somebody who served in Vietnam, fighting for my freedom. Now, that might work for some people, but it just doesn't make any sense. Nobody even believes that. Fighting for your country, okay, maybe. We're using the wrong ideas behind this, the wrong notion. World War II, I'm with you on that one. I can see that. That was a very, very, very serious thing. Vietnam? Korea? Korea maybe because we didn't know any better. Iraq? Afghanistan? Why? We have stopped asking the question, what does this have to do with us? What does this have to do with our world? What does this have to do with anything? Why do we automatically just assume that everything is, listen, from your point of view, you, this soldier, sailor, marine, done nothing wrong. But every time we keep saying, all right, thank you, you're off and running, we're behind you 100%, just go to war and, hey, we're behind you 100%. What does it mean? I don't know. I support, and I'm going to put a little an emoji on my Facebook page. I'm tired of this. I'm going to say something very, very simple. No more war. Period. End of discussion. End of discussion. There was going to come a day where somebody's going to say, we don't need to do this anymore. There will come a day when if you want to go after the enemy, you just shut down everything they have. Everything they have. You just completely shut down their grid, shut down everything. You want to go and you want to see, do you honest to God think that when we're going after new elements of evil, that we're going to go into what, dog fights? I mean, do you really honestly God think? Look, you know and I know. Smedley Butlers are the best. War is a racket. And I cannot stand the fact that there are some people who automatically jump up, grab their flag, and start waving it. Every time anybody says there's any kind of military action of any kind, that we automatically are behind it 100%. I'm not 100% behind it. Excuse me. I've been through this before. How many times you have to learn, don't fall for this. Especially, I don't want to say jingoism, I shouldn't say this, but this sense of patriotism. The sense that patriotism means that you fall into line every time that anybody who says we're going to go to war, we're going to send some other American to be hurt, to be forget the physical scars, the mental scars that last permanently. And then they're going to come home. We're going to say, have a nice day. Thank you. That's it. because we love, oh my God, we love it. Memorial Day and Veterans Day, and never forget, and we put up our emojis and our flags and our memes and our look at this and GIFs. Oh, look at this. I'm an American. I'm great. Why? Well, I put my flag up. Did you serve? No. No. I don't know. Listen, this Frank Capra business. You got to ask yourself, why are we doing this? What is going on here? It's a new world. And we're using, and as long as there are people making billions of dollars in the military armament business, weapons and the like, we're going to keep having these. We're going to keep, everything is a nail and we're a hammer. And we're going to keep doing it. And we're going to keep telling people. And you're going to be so happy. And then we're going to have these networks that show nothing but graphics. Isn't this great? Isn't this wonderful? Yeah, this is great. This is so cool. Remember after was it the first Gulf War? I guess, yeah. Where they had embedded troops. All of a sudden, people who for the first time ever, it was brilliant on the Pentagon's part. Let's have people from NBC or ABC travel with, this is so-and-so, and I'm traveling with the 82nd Light Infantry. And all of a sudden, this girl named, Samantha Clark from whatever, all of a sudden she's blood and guts. She's got her helmet on. She's got she is raring to go. And I'm thinking, do you see what they're doing to you? Do you see what's happening? Do you see what's happening? This is brilliant. And I thought, doesn't everybody see what's happening here? Why are we romanticizing war? Why do we do this? And we've been doing this since day one because people say, don't you understand? I'm a conservative. Damn it. And whenever there's a war, we are for it 100%. Doesn't matter. Because by God, it's stand behind our troops. Never question what it is. Never question whether it's important, whether it's necessary, whether we're making because we don't learn. We never learn. Ever, ever, ever. But you know what? That's the beautiful part about who we are. Never learning. Always making the same mistakes. Sad to say, but some things just never change. John, you're on the other side of midnight with Lionel.
Morning, Lionel.
Yes, sir.
I was going to talk about the technology.
But you're not anymore?
That you spoke about in the last hour.
But you're not anymore? You were going to talk about it, but now you've changed your mind.
I did not change my mind.
Oh, okay.
I'm still going.
I like when people say, I was going to call. I was going to say. There was a time when I was thinking about saying this, and I still do. I'm sorry, John. I'm being needlessly priggish. I apologize. Go ahead, sir.
You're just being yourself.
I'm being who I am. It's who I am. I can't help it. Talk to me, sir.
So, the elderly, I would probably say, I wouldn't really call.
Define the elderly. When do you become elderly? What age are you? Just curious.
I don't believe that you become elderly at 65.
Okay.
I would say that you become elderly 75, maybe 70. And those are the people that
What
are
defines elderly to you? Is it chronological or is it a state of mind?
Both.
I like that we say both.
Depending on the person.
Your question, your query in this querical tone is an up tilt. Both? 75? I like that. It's like unsure.
You could look at somebody in their 80s who's in like a nursing home who doesn't have their mind. They probably have Alzheimer's, dementia. They forget everything. They forgot their family history, stuff like that. Then you also look at somebody in the same age bracket who lives all by themselves, probably widowed, and then
this is the most drastically horrid explication of those. So, aside from your very dark, dank, and dreary version of that which is elderly, the point you were going to make, elderly versus technology, the point that I think is going to bring all of us together would be what exactly?
Not many people in that age bracket know how to use, not just computers, but even a smartphone, iPad, things
You've
like
come
that.
to this. You know what? I think the word that best describes what you're saying, startling. Startling. That elderly people, 75, 80 years old, are not necessarily conversant with a lot of technology. Never thought about that. Never even considered that before, ever.
So, some people still have landline phones.
Yeah. This is, I think the word for this call is riveting. I'm horripilating. You have brought this into a context I never thought before. That elderly people might not be conversant or familiar with that which is technologically, advanced. Incredible. Never thought of that before, sir. Never. And I thank you for that.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Incredible. Just the elderly people, 75, 80. Also, he said people, he said alone, dementia, might not be that conversant with laptops and never thought about that. Let's go back to the phones, back to the fun. Let me tell you anticipatorily, though, this might be a little bit earlier because last time I was off by a couple of minutes, but it's 30 past the hour on the other side of midnight with Lionel. Let's go to Joe in New Jersey. Joe, take us back, Joe. Bring us back, Joe. Bring us back.
Here we go. I love your timing. Would you believe I was number one in 69?
What does that mean?
69. Well, remember when they had those lottery drawings with the ping pong balls?
That was thankfully before my time. Tell us how that worked.
PBS, whatever the New Jersey channel was. Anyhow, my birthday is September 14. That was number one in 69. Luckily, I was due to be picked in 1970. Mm-hmm. I would have taken the Ali. Remember Ali?
Oh, yes.
Defense? He would say, the yellow man never did anything to me.
Uh-huh.
But, the locals definitely hit on the black people. But
So wait a minute. So what happened in your case? What did you do?
my case, I was a sophomore in high school, so I would have joined the hippies. I would have probably.
And you said would have. My point is, you never. Why did you not?
Never shot a gun. Never been in jail.
Were you ever drafted? Were you ever in the military?
I had a card. I was never.
Okay,
no,
you were
I had
in the
card,
but you were never. Explain desperately. A lot of people are saying, I don't understand. You were number one. You would have taken the Ali thing. So what happened? You never were. What does that mean? You're number one, and then what? What happened?
And I'm just saying, I was such a lucky guy. I was picked 242.
Now, you just said you were number one. What does that mean? You're number one, now you're number 242?
To go to Vietnam.
Okay, but then you're 242. What does that mean? What happened?
That number was your birthday. The first 100 picked, first 100 birthdays
Okay.
would go right to
Joe,
Vietnam.
I'm not going to let this go. But you realize that everybody's confused right now because they don't know anything about this lottery and you've explained nothing.
I jumped too fast.
Number
yes, you're
one.
right. My wife says I have ADHD.
Enough of that. My question is this. When you were given this quote, number one, what did that mean? You found out...
means I would have been in Vietnam in 1970.
Have been in Vietnam in 1970 and would have been unless what occurred? Why were you not in?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, I didn't explain that.
No.
I wasn't due. I was 17. I was underage. It was like drinking and driving.
Okay,
Everybody
I
was...
have no, ladies and gentlemen, this is, can you imagine this? We have and I'm trying. I would have been due. I would have been but I was in high school. So 1970 came along and what happened? I don't know. I would have been. I don't understand this. How can people not understand? How can people, how do I say this? How can people not grasp that their idea is not being understood? Does that make any sense to you? Does that make any sense to you? See, this is another example of and this will be bothering me all day. All day I'll be thinking, why didn't you understand that? Why can't you explain but for this? Now, will there ever be another draft in this country? Will there ever be another draft? Imagine what you were doing. I can't imagine. You're at the prime of your life, especially if you're poor and especially if you're black. And you had no deferments or nothing that could get you out of the way like Dick Cheney. How many deferments did he have and whatever it was? And you're going to go. Your government says, no, we need you. You're going to go to Vietnam. Why? Well, what do you mean why? Because you can stop communism. Yeah, that's it. Communism. Not only that, they said some pretty nasty things about the United States. So you're going to go to Vietnam. Why? Because we're telling you. Because Lyndon Johnson said, I am not going to be the first president to lose a war. Lose a war? Why are you even in the war? What are we doing? Because of the Gulf of Tonkin, which we all know was a lie. Which everybody said at the time was, he goes, oh, you're just a conspiracy theorist. No, it's true. It was a lie. So you went there. And you, well, this should be pretty easy. These folks, these people walking around with a loincloth and a rifle and a bag of rice and thongs. How tough can that be? We will bomb them into the Stone Age. Why? I don't know exactly. Because they're communists. And if we don't stop them there, they'll be in Cleveland before you know it. Get those commies. Got to get them. Okay. Anybody else helping us? Nope. But we're going to do it, by God. Why? Still don't know why. We still can't explain. We still can't explain why. I will never forget this at all. Pamela in New Jersey, you're on the other side of midnight with Lionel.
Hey, Lionel, I think that dude was being evasive. He draft dodged, but he didn't want to say it.
No, he wasn't. No, that's not what happened. Nope. He said he was too young. No. He said he would have.
I know they slowed the draft down towards the end.
No. He said he would have. He didn't dodge the draft. He said he would have. He made it as clear as day. How did you not hear that?
I think the would have. I did hear. I think the would have became the did.
No. Why do you say that? That's not what he said.
Because when people are lying.
No. How do you know he's lying? He would have said, I think he would have been proud to say, I dodged it. He said, by luck of, they said 242. He didn't say that. You thought he was lying.
Well, sometimes people are, they're on the borderline.
Well, how do you know that?
Knowing something. I know it because I've lived intuition.
Intuition?
That's how I know it.
But your intuition is wrong this time. You got it completely wrong. He told you.
Well, sometimes you're wrong too.
No. But you're not. But now you're being obstinate. You interpreted this. There was nothing that would ever lead any rational person to believe he dodged anything. But yet you feel he did because of this intuition that you have. So you didn't believe a word he said. You thought, I know better. He's hiding something. And let me ask you another question. Had he, quote, dodged the draft, had he been a conscientious objector or done something else, what would have been wrong with that? Vietnam?
Yeah, well.
No, Vietnam?
Emotion gets into. Hey, listen.
If your son, let's say, was...
My brother served during Vietnam. My cousin got his guts ripped out by the Agent Orange.
No, but I'm saying, if he could have avoided that, knowing what you know now, wouldn't you have advised him, don't go? It's ridiculous, a waste of time.
I'm just saying about the language of what
my question is, if you knew now what you knew or knew then what you know now, would you have advised your father? Would you stop talking? See, you got to fix these phones. Would you have advised your brother to avoid this and to avoid this if you knew then what you know now?
I'm not talking about whether he should feel shame or my opinion.
I'm not talking about shame.
About his language.
I'm not talking about shame. I'm asking you a very simple question. If you knew then what you know now, would you have advised your brother to avoid Vietnam altogether?
I am not talking about my emotions.
I'm asking you a question, And I want
And I don't
you
feel
to
like-
answer
I don't
my
feel like
question.
answering it.
I want you to
And I
answer
don't
my
feel like
question.
answering it.
Why? Because the answer is yes. Because the answer is yes. Because you could not possibly tell your brother, listen, even though I know now that Vietnam was a complete and total waste of time, and whatever happened to you was unnecessary, I would have still wanted you to go to Vietnam then, knowing what I know now? Are you saying that? No, you're not. You're being obstinate.
The lawyer is leading the witness. I did not say that.
There's not. But it's cross-examination, and I can lead on cross. Look, you don't know what you're talking about. I understand that. A lot of times people just don't know what they're talking. This is the most stupid draft dodging. I don't know what that even. I don't. Again, that means. Have you ever seen Winter Soldier? Winter Soldier is the most unbelievable depiction about these veterans who came back from Vietnam. It's a black and white. And there's this one fellow who I think he lives in Florida now, but you cannot believe what happened to these people. Cannot believe. And when I think about Vietnam, when these people came back, World War II, let's face it, horrible, but it was honorable. And there were parades, and these young men came back on troop ships. They went together and came back together. They had time to decompress. They had time to talk. They had time to review what happened. These poor men in Vietnam, one minute they're shooting, next minute they're in Okinawa, then in San Francisco. That's it. Have a nice day. Oh, by the way, take your uniform off because they're going to be spitting at you. I mean, it's horrific. And the country said, oh, well, what are you going to do? That happens. Nothing. Oh, we put up a monument for you. That's good. Put up a monument. Hey, there you go. Have some groovy songs, but that's it. But don't worry, that won't happen again. We've learned our lesson. That's not going to happen again. I cannot believe, and as long as I live, I can't believe how the obvious escapes people. I cannot believe, especially when you have it, now we know better than ever. McNamara said specifically, and I interviewed him, they got it all wrong, sometimes deliberately. And people say, no, it doesn't matter, because they live in this world of Barry Sadler and John Wayne and Capra. They can't believe that there are parts of your government, not your country. Let me rephrase this. Not your country, but your government. And your government doesn't care anything about you. You just went through this thing recently. You might have heard about it. It was in all the papers. There was a certain health consideration. Your government didn't care a damn about you. Any kind of military, religious or health exemptions, right? Nothing. You were nothing but fodder. Do what we say, shut up and move along, or we will make life a living hell for you. Remember that? And now everything is coming out. Everything that you had suspected, everything is true. Remember that? And I wish Bobby Kennedy would pick up a little bit more on that. I think we've exhausted the red dye number 3. Look, if you can't understand the dichotomy and the difference between country and government, there's no help for you. I can't help you. Let me see. Ron on Long Island. Ron.
Hey, how you doing, man?
Good, sir.
Yeah. Yeah, this guy that called up about being number one.
Yep.
How can you be number one if you have to be 18 years old to get drafted?
Well, I think he was talking about selective service. And
Selective
then
service,
I
yeah,
think...
to get a selective service, that's a draft card.
Right.
You don't get a draft card till you're 18.
Well, but I'm saying he said he would. Listen, I was desperately asking him to explain what he meant by this. And then the woman who called afterwards knew he was lying and was a draft dodger. How about that one? That's my favorite because of her intuition.
I did 22 years with the United States Navy. And I was
Thank you for your
overseas
service,
14
sir.
years.
Thank you for your service.
You're welcome. And best thing I ever did in my life.
Well, let me tell you, it's a noble effort. Let me ask you. Let's say right now, today, your son says, Dad, I want to be a Marine. What would you say?
My son was in the Army. My daughter was in the Navy.
I didn't ask that. Marine. Probably a greater, right now with all of the conflicts that are going on, what would you say?
If that's what he wanted to do and he wanted to go into the Marines, then so be it.
Do you trust, do you trust the government to be very parsimonious, very careful with the selection of what wars and what activities to send our young men and women to? Do you feel good about that?
At this time, with what's going on right now?
Yes.
Yeah, I do believe. I believe that the president we got now is not a warmonger. I believe he wants peace. But that nuclear site in Iran had to be taken out.
No, different again. Okay, we are all. We are all over the point. We're not. Everybody's answering the question from the viewpoint of a particular frame of reference that they want. Here is the question. Okay? Nobody's talking about Trump. Nobody's talking about Iran. Nobody's talking about anything. We're talking about right now, in a globalist world where we live, where we are talking about people from other countries like NATO and others that want to spread and extend American involvement to Ukraine and here and Middle East and all over. And here's one for you, which is interesting to know. Did you know that since 1776, the United States has been at war for approximately over 90% of its existence? 1776. We've been together. We've been been around for 249 years, and at war for approximately 230 plus years. Revolutionary War, War of 1812, Mexican-American War, Civil War, Spanish-American War, World War I, World War II, Korean War, Vietnam War, Gulf War, Afghanistan War, Iraq War, and ongoing conflicts in Syria, Somalia, Yemen, Niger, Ukraine aid, global drone strikes, and anti-terrorism, blah, 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 blah. Do you not kind of see that maybe, and I'm just going out on a limb here, maybe if the profiteering aspect were removed from military engagements, if there were let's say we socialized, just imagine this. Imagine a law that socialized war, meaning where there could be no profits made by any kind of military involvement. In armament, nothing. There was no stock, there's no Halliburton, no Raytheon, no nothing. It just all went into this kind of a collective. Just imagine this. Imagine if nobody made any money at war. Do you think there'd be war? Do you think so? Think about that. There were absolutely nobody made anything. Do you think we'd be involved in this kind of stuff? And when you talk about this, this notion of diplomacy, what do you think diplomacy means? What does that mean to people? I think people think diplomacy means weakness. That's what I think. I think people think somehow it's very, very, how do I say this? It's a sign of insipidity. You see, it's easy sometimes for folks in my generation or women or folks who have absolutely no chance of going to war. It's very easy for us to point our finger and say, go. We'll have these ideas about the world's going to be a better place. You know, whenever there's Fleet Week, I always feel very sad. I see these young men and women, especially these young men, Marines, and I think to myself, I would only absolutely you would be used at the last possible reason. And it would be so good and so obvious that people would say, absolutely. I think of war as kind of like amputation. Every surgeon or many surgeons know how to amputate limbs. They really know, but it's something they don't want to do. And they don't go into practice, and they don't hold out a shingle, and they don't advertise on, overnight TV by saying we're the best amputation service there is. If you want to lose a limb you come to us. No, that's always a last resort. It's not something you go to first. But you know what? Maybe I'm old-fashioned. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I believe in, rational thinking. 20 years! the best and the brightest. It meant nothing to them. It meant nothing. Well, we have to combat communism was a growing threat, and it's like a metastasis. And then you go back and you look at what Ho Chi Minh wanted. Anyway. And there's certain things I just don't get. I don't understand it. And while everybody is thinking, I'm kind of going into my approaching 70, and I'm going to just go to the bank and, pay bills. That's fine. I'm getting more angry. I mean, I guess, I thought that when I was younger, whatever the anger that focuses people sort of maybe dissipates a little bit. Maybe you're able to, no, it's worse now because I understand more and I'm seeing it. And I cannot believe, because I never had, in my life, or during Vietnam, we never had cable news and we never had the internet. But the internet is the most incredible thing in the world that is so fantastic. It amazes me. And I'm telling you right now, one of the things which is the most important is to understand specifically is the notion of how do I say this? Your perspective is what matters. What you tell yourself. The psychology perhaps the politics of delusion. I don't know. Or perspective. Kathy, by the way, Kathy, we were talking about the benefits of AAA. And I asked that rather flippantly, but you have, I believe, a list of all of the benefits of the AAA Association.
Not a list of all the benefits, but I don't work for them. I don't represent them in any way. I'm a premier member.
Yeah, wait a minute. What does that mean?
Well, that means that every year I get 100 miles of towing.
Whoa! Now, how many times have you used towing?
This year,
yes.
About 3 times.
3 times?
Yeah. Well, I drive an older car, but
that might be the problem. That might be. You might want to take, maybe if we have a premier ownership. But anyway, so premier towing. What would towing normally involve in terms of a cost basis without this premier status?
Oh, where I live in New Jersey, It's probably a little under $300 per tow.
$300, Kathy.
It depends, right? It depends. Yeah,
Kathy,
it's very expensive. Yes.
Have you ever thought about perhaps maybe enlisting the help of others to maybe, I don't know, get a new car? Is that possible? Is that within the realm of possibility?
I don't like to complain, but it isn't. I'm retired.
Okay. See, there you go. It's what? It's expensive.
It's out of control. But I'm going to tell you something. Yeah. Last night, I locked myself out of my house.
Wait a minute. Hold it. And did AAA help you with getting you out of your house?
Yes. Now, normally, they don't come out after.
First of all, it has nothing to do with your. Wait. It has nothing to do with your car. You locked yourself out of your house.
Yes.
And AAA came for you to get you out of your house?
Yep. A guy came and, attempted to, pick the lock.
So he was a criminal, basically, is what he was. He was a burglar. He was
basically a criminal with a little box and some little instruments that he was, And they don't even come after 9 o'clock at night. But since it was my house. And
you were a premier member.
Oh, yes.
I don't know why. When you say the AAA automobile, that fascinates me. And nobody told you, excuse me, Kathy, this is your problem. We're into cars, not you. And if let's say, God forbid, you've fallen and you can't get up, like that old lady on TV, listen, you've kind of rekindled my faith. There's also, I believe, other little perks, every little perquisites, little benefits you have.
They have little perks, but I don't use. They cover everything. I mean, they do life insurance. They do homeowners insurance. I don't do that. I mean, they do the basic stuff. I mean, they'll bring you gas if you're out of gas. They'll change your tire. They'll jumpstart your car.
Let me ask you a question. And I appreciate this. Let me ask you something, gentlemen. Riff and Mr. Blaze, how many times have you had your car towed in your life? Just curious. Anybody?
Maybe twice,
Yeah.
2 or 3 times.
Maybe an
something like
accident
that.
or
yeah,
something?
exactly.
Yeah, you get hit by somebody, but not because it just like stopped.
No.
What about you, Riff? Could you drive? You old enough to
Never.
drive? Never. Okay, here's one for you. Have you ever run out of gas?
Yes.
Okay, that is criminal. That is idiotic. There's that thing that says E. And now let's face it, if you're like on the Route 66 or something, but normally within here, did you not believe the E? Did it say E, damn it?
It was always like, oh, I could go a little bit more. I
Yeah.
can make it. I could go a little bit more.
I've never, ever, ever run out of gas. The day I run out of gas, that's it. That's it.
Well, now there's no excuse because the newer cars, it tells you how many miles you have to go to
But
empty.
they always told you it's called E. That thing that says E. Riff, you ever run out of gas?
Today a little bit.
Today, a little bit. Well, don't let your performance in any way be subsumed under that particular rubric. All right, my friends. Riff Raff, thank you. Mr. Blaze, thank you. And thank you for listening. This is Lionel with you, reminding you, as always, with this valedictory, the monkey's dead, the show's over. Sue you. Ta-ta.